morning, people. Happy new week. It is Monday, the 23rd of October. Welcome to TDA, the day after, your favorite news platform and the home of popular culture as defined by the culture. Let's introduce ourselves.
It's your boy, Big Moss from the east side of the bridge, 6 foot plus of pure temptation and all that.
Looking all brown.
Back home, huh?
All brown and things.
Told you, I'm a natural colour.
Things. Yeah, I'm trying to, we did a whole Jamaica Day while you were gone.
No way.
Yeah, we did a Jamaica Day.
You done Jamaica Day without me?
We did Jamaica Day. I'm sorry.
That's rude.
It was the National Heroes.
I did. Oh, yeah, it was, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't think, we're doing it without the Jamaican correspondent. But then it was the Heroes Day, so it would have been, we couldn't let that day go by.
Big up Jamaica, man.
Yeah, big up Jamaica.
You been all right?
We've been good. I mean, the rest of us haven't done our intros
Oh,
yet.
sorry, I was about to say that as well.
Your favourite shade queen, as always, Martin Royalty.
And they call me E-Man, the pro-black activist, TDA producer and news analyst. And of course, the melanin is jam-packed.
That is right.
Where was
Ask
we?
us how we are.
How you been?
I've been good, thank you. I've missed you. I'm glad you're back.
I miss you too, man. Happy to be home.
Love that. How was your holiday?
It was all right, man. It was cool. It was nice, chilled.
Good.
You get me? Just decent weather.
Decent. Do you know how brown you are?
I told you that I'm a natural colour.
It does look natural to you though. Because some people get tan and it looks a bit dusty.
You got to understand, yeah. Have I broke down this logic before?
No.
Our people was displaced, innit? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And obviously our grandparents came over here for a better life or whatever. If I was born by the same parents in Jamaica or Barbados where I should have been born,
You be my colour.
do you feel me?
Yeah.
So this ain't no tan. This is how I'm supposed. This is the way God made me.
This is your factory setting.
Do you feel me? So
hear
I
you.
haven't changed. I've just reverted back to, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Do you know Britain will do that? It will do that to you. Britain will suck the life and the colour out of you.
I remember this cold. I remember I'm relaxing. This cold gets me looking pale, like proper washed out. That's not me.
I hear you.
I'm not supposed to be like that. I'm a vibrant you.
That is true. That is the word. Came in here singing all sorts. I said, oh, lovely. Great moods. How are the rest of you?
Can't complain.
Nice.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very tired. But I'm tired for good reasons, man. We've got to big up the fitness queen. Sold out. Her first independent event, fitness party, sold out completely.
That was
And it was
sensational.
packed.
Like jam packed.
Packed out.
Like, I couldn't actually believe what I was seeing, to be totally honest with you.
It was lit.
I was so proud. I was like, look at my
It was
baby
lit.
go, man.
It was lit. It was absolutely, I'm so proud of her. It was absolutely lit.
All those people in one place just to work out.
Just to work out.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, when I was getting ready, I thought, I'm gonna get ready to work out. Obviously, I'm gonna go in gym wear, but I don't want to work out too intensely because because I'm gonna stay for a bit after. When I sweat my face, I start to get spots. The whole thing, I've come a long way. But when I got there, the energy, the vibe, and Gina comes with energy for classes. I was working my booty off. I tell you that, my bum hurts today. I don't know. I'm gonna go and hip thrust 100 kg in the gym today. But I'm gonna do it because Gina would want me to. But honestly, it was a good workout.
Sick.
She gave us live performances. Mr. Silver came out. We haven't seen Mr. Silver in a minute.
Oh,
Mr.
that's who
Silver
that
came
was,
out.
isn't it?
Yeah. Mr. Silver came out. Gracious K came out. Doneo
Doneo.
came out. The DJs
The
were
Nail
lit.
tried to take over the show. He tried to tell people take their bands off. Said stop
said-
training for a second. I was like,
I
one
think it worked,
second.
first of all.
I said, one second, mister.
It's called Beats and Bands. You give the beats and we'll bring the bands, sir.
Should have been called Beats and Backs. I ain't never been around so much bunda in my life. There's the concentration of backs in that building. This at the highest concentration of backs I've ever been around. And there was all different type of backs. Some of these girls, they had a backyalomy. You get me? I'm telling you. This.
I'm so sick.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was going, what country are you from? She's like, Pakistan. It was sensational. It was sensational.
You're so amazing.
I was saying I should have brought my sunglasses because I couldn't concentrate. You get what I'm trying to say?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I was heavenly in there. Heavenly. I was like, look at God.
God
Hey.
did. God did for
Big
real.
up, big up Gina, man.
Yeah,
The
I
big
let you
up
know
Gina,
that
man.
I ain't missing one of those events.
Oh my gosh, don't you try to be in the planning committee. I went the next one. Gina, where did this go?
Ready to go and promote that.
Oh my gosh. No, it was sick, man. That big up Gina every single damn time. She did that. Like, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And the community she's built is just different, man. It's so different.
100%.
All right, so let's spend a little time here.
Let's
Right,
do it.
Let's spend a little time here.
Got all the time for Gina today.
For sure.
Can you remember when she first announced it?
Yes.
It was on here, right?
Yes, it was.
And even before she announced it,
Yeah.
she kind of spoke about, oh, it's the first time I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And by myself, it's not free.
Yep.
So there's a little hesitation, anxiety attached to it,
Yep.
right? And obviously behind the scenes, we all knew that she really, really wanted this to pop off.
She
right?
did, yeah.
And she did the normal thing. She asked her friends, "Can I jump on your pods to basically talk about it?" Blah, 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 right? When you walked into that flipping building,
Burnt.
you saw people from different religions there.
All kinds.
So all the gods turned out.
All of them was in there.
The gods turned out and said,
There was
"We need to
black
support
gal,
this thing."
white
Yeah?
gal, racially ambiguous,
Oh gosh.
indigenous.
There were natives there from different lands. Listen carefully. Thing is, I didn't even know, right? Because I was out there. Paul Wally. I'll get onto the shout outs soon. I was out there talking to Paul for a while.
I was there.
Yeah.
You're missing action. And you're out here.
He was kind of there.
I'll get onto that. And I was
know what
out
that
there
means?
for 20 odd minutes, right? And I was seeing traces, trailers just popping in. I'm thinking, wait a minute. These people are coming to work out proper, right?
Yeah.
And they're all wavy. They're all wavy. So I'm like, if I go in there, I think I might be working out too, right? Just to get in amongst them. When I went in and I heard the din, then I felt the heat. I'm thinking, wait a minute. It's like an underground movement.
This
It
is
really,
serious
that's
stuff.
what it really felt like.
It's mad because they came there. They came there to work.
Movement.
There was
Yeah.
there was it was serious
a
stuff.
movement,
We literally
right?
had our bands in our bags ready to go.
Now, when them artists were on stage,
Yeah.
right, you felt the vibrancy and the energy and this, that,
Yeah.
and next, right? The only type of comparison I can basically levy against what Gina was doing was an artist on stage
Yeah.
rocking everything.
Yeah, she's a rock star.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
The glow that she has, the aura that she has
Yeah.
when she's on that stage
Oh, it's
is
different.
different level.
It's different.
Yeah, because she's way more like she's way more confident
in
on
the
stage.
What I'm
element.
saying.
Like when she's here, she's reserved.
This
Quite,
is
on
what I am
stage,
saying.
it's like
She's
she
in
comes
an
alive.
It's a
born
different
to do
Gina.
what it is that she does on stage. You
Comes
know
from
how
the
crazy
depth of
that
her.
is.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
crazy.
lit.
I felt as though I was living history
Yeah.
in that
You were.
space.
The first of many.
Oh my goodness. And I looked out into the crowd and I cried. Marks didn't even do that justice. Didn't even do it justice. And the thing is, you realize that could have been a bigger place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody was just
Yeah. We didn't have
rammed.
enough time. We didn't have enough space to do star jumps properly. Because that's how packed it was.
And these guys are in leggings, you know.
Yeah.
You know the ones where the bum just eats it
Yeah.
up. You know, just the
Yep. Scoops it up.
splendid.
That's splendid. Nah. Gina did that, man. Big
We
up Gina.
witnessed, forget queen, a king.
Yeah. Dead ass.
Woman king.
Woman king.
I am so proud of her.
Incredibly
Yeah,
proud
for
of her.
real.
So
Incredibly
proud
proud.
of her.
You know, it was crazy, man.
Incredibly proud of her.
God forbid she ever looks to come and second guess, second doubt herself
Nah,
and her
she
value
actually can't.
again.
You know, she's nuts for that.
We'll be here to remind her every time, every damn time.
Every
100%.
single
Every
time.
damn time.
100%.
Every damn time. Gina did it was great, man. It was great. It was great.
That's just the first one, so next
That's
one's
the
gonna be bigger.
first one.
It's gonna be bigger, badder.
And do you know what's fun as well? I
Yeah.
love it because it's like it's the first that's ever been done. No one's ever had a fitness day party. And everyone actually came out to work out, but also party afterwards. It's the first of many. It's the first of many locations around the world.
You know, that was sick, man.
It's
Big up
lit,
her,
man. Big up Gina. Big up Gina. Girl, you deserve that rest. Big up Gina. My cheeks are hurting there, Gina. So I'm gonna tell you that.
She needs to make sure it's much more regular. This event, because she can do it.
She can. She actually can.
100%.
She actually can. That was lit. That was really good.
Rishi was great, man.
Rachel was sick. I'm gonna say. It's so nice just being around women, and women are just looking all good and nice, and it's like, oh, I can imagine how you guys feeling. I can imagine how you guys. I can actually imagine how you guys, because it's, for me, it's motivating where all the girls were together. Because even upstairs, like there was a section clear where like we're gonna work out here, and like we're pushing each other and like counting together, like. It was good, but I can imagine what the sight was like from you guys.
I told the man, I don't use this word very often. This is a bit overwhelming.
Didn't know what to do. You're ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm saying like, brother. Yeah, no, man.
Yeah, big up all the girls.
Top stuff, man.
Big up all the girls. Big up everyone who showed up for Gina though. I know she definitely appreciated it. And that, I think that's one of the greatest things as well, is that every single person showed up for Gina. Do you get what I mean? Like,
100%.
lit, man. You're going to do your shout-outs? Because I met a few TDA listeners.
All right, so let me start with...
why was Paul away?
Yeah, the sequence of events, to be honest. So I came in, I don't know, 5:45, maybe 5:30.
Yeah.
And I saw this gentleman at the end of the alleyway type thing. And I didn't place his face because I wasn't looking for anybody, right? That's what I do when I'm walking around. I mind my business, right? So anyway, I've gone around the cordon and I've looked to go and get my wristband or whatever. There, Brent. I turn around and it's Paul, right? So I was like, were you the guy that I just saw down there? He said, yeah. I said, what are you doing here? He said he was just in the area, right? Just in the area.
It was sold out.
He said he was just in the area.
There's no tickets on the door.
He was just in the area.
Okay.
Wait, he was just in the ticket. Wait a minute.
He had a shopping bag.
Wait a minute. Wait. He was just in the area with a Dice app download and a Beats and Band ticket downloaded on it. Love that for him.
To be honest, he's actually performed in a few of those buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he knows that particular
Space.
Yeah, that space. But anyway, so we start talking, right? He says, I heard you guys talking about it on TDA, and I was like, oh, maybe I could see you guys when it is that you come in, right? So I don't know if it is he was waiting there for a while, but he might have just coincidentally saw me when it is that I was walking by, right? As things go. Anyway, so I'm there talking to him. Me and him looking face to face.
You see
right?
each other.
And I'm talking to him. And then drips and drabs of girls start passing. His head is cocking left. His head is bending right. I'm saying, brother, I don't understand.
Are we here or not?
He's like, I should have come. I should have come.
So, wait, did you not make it in?
No.
Oh, this is outside you saw him?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant
I
inside.
thought you had a ticket.
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Paul.
I
Is that
I
what
had a
you
spare
said?
ticket as well, though, because I could have given it to him.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, because I bought a ticket to support anyway. And that was going to be invested, but I bought a ticket to
So
support
I
anyway.
bought 2 tickets to sport.
Why didn't you give it to Paul? You're a witch. Why didn't you give it to Paul? Paul, you hear that?
No, I didn't know I could claim it back.
I'm tired, man. Carry on.
Anyway, so yeah, Paul's good people, obviously.
Always.
And then I went inside and saw Christy.
Big up Christy.
I saw Tina.
Big up Tina.
I saw Oyin.
Big up Oyin. A bit Oyin as well. Yeah. that was good.
Oyin B.
Yeah,
Oyin B. She's a vibe.
She's
good vibes.
Good vibe.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
She's so
yeah,
sweet.
She's lovely.
She's a little
Absolutely
cutie as
lovely.
well.
Huh?
She's a little cutie as
Yeah,
well.
she's a pretty girl. Very pretty girl, yeah.
And the right height. Well, for me, obviously, for tall people. Yeah.
She called me short. That's all right. She was like, you're so little. I said, all right.
All right,
And-
Amazon.
Okay.
And the friend, his
that okay,
name
girl?
is Taiwo. And
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she should be tuning in from now on, which is good. And then, let me get my
Actually,
phone.
her twin. Interesting enough.
Also, big up Kizzy.
Big up Kizzy.
She's traveling today.
Oh, nice.
Miss
Mariah.
Miss Mariah.
Miss Mariah. Good vibes.
She's always supported. She's always outside, man.
Yeah, always.
Miss Mariah
Miss
everywhere.
Mariah, I love Mariah's honesty. Mariah looked glam when I saw her. I said, girl, she said, I didn't come here to work out. So you know what? She said I came for the party, but I said, you know, I hear it. I hear it.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
always
she
turning
always
up.
supports.
All right, so there's Margaret,
We got Margaret.
Joyce.
Nice choice. I think I met Margaret as well. Actually. I did meet Margaret. I did.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's lovely. And Joyce, obviously.
I met a few listeners, but they never told me their names. They just said they listened to TDA. I was like, oh, thank you, but I don't know. So big up you lot.
Big up all the
No,
TDA
we
listeners.
saw Valerie as well.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see
And
Valerie.
Tracy.
Tracy as
Oh, I
well.
didn't
see-
Yeah.
oh, I didn't
Shouts
see
out
Tracy.
Tracy. Did you see Tracy?
I didn't see
Tracy, you been hiding from me?
Tracy
I've
was
never seen
hiding,
Tracy.
Yeah,
When she had no behavior as well.
Yes.
Was she?
I didn't see
Yes.
her there.
yeah, she came.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, big up
Yeah, she
Tracy,
proper
man.
supports, man.
Yeah, I never see Tracy. Tracy, do you? What's going on?
And Valerie, yes.
I didn't see Valerie either.
Yeah, she came over like. I
Is Valerie,
didn't-
Valerie brute force?
Yeah.
No, she's not.
Ain't it?
But you,
Who's brute force again?
It's been retired, isn't it?
No, but she okay.
Was
formerly,
she? Was
formerly
she?
Was formerly known as, yeah,
Why did she
yeah,
retire it?
Because she said she just shouldn't be called that anymore. I said,
First
yes.
of all, it's so funny people think we can retire things on here. They don't know we love a callback.
Once it sticks, it sticks, man.
What's the sticks is sticks. This is you, girl. About your retiring stuff. We didn't consent to that.
It will come from me, Valerie.
Listen, 10 years of TDA, I'm doing brute force. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Who else? I
I feel like Kevin's going to be at the next one. I'm surprised Kevin wasn't there.
With his band, innit?
with his vest. Where did it go? His vest,
said
his
his
jeans, his
band,
Timbs.
I saw a man them there with bands. I couldn't
Yeah, but-
believe it. I was like, what?
What did they make men ones?
No, you can do
They're
bands.
unisex, but brother, there was brothers there
No,
with
but you know
bands
what?
on. I said, what in the
bands
hell
works
is
your
this?
legs though. It's not just your cheeks, it's your legs. That's why men be having weak legs all the time. You still don't work hard enough.
Random shouldn't have been having
Get you
bands
some
on. That's all I
bands.
know.
Get you some bands. You put them on your knees. Women put it, if you put the higher up you go, I think it works your bum. The lower it goes, it works your legs. So men just put it around your knees. But the men upstairs are working out there. I don't know if the men downstairs are working out, but the guys upstairs, I saw what's his name, Lucas from Backchat,
Yeah.
in his little shorts. I said, first of all, it's a little inappropriate.
Short.
He had little shorts on. I said,
Yuck.
where did you think you were going? Like, what do you think about? But he was working out there. He was working hard. But then it was so funny because I saw he changed into full tracks. I said, so you don't other lengths available. Of course, saw Queen and Princess Brenya as well.
Yes.
Saw Brenya, saw
Pick up
Priscilla
Brenya.
as well.
Yeah, big up
so-
Brenya. Brenya's
Saw
looking
Koi. So Koi was working hard
buff.
as
Say
well.
that out loud. No, she knows she's buff anyway. I told her.
You Brenya. Yeah. Big up Koi as well. So
Yeah,
Koi as
saw
well.
Koi as
Yeah, she
well.
cried and
But Koi's always at Gina's classes, always supporting Gina. Yeah, that's good vibes. Who else was there? Yeah.
there are a lot of people there, man.
Yeah, all the man them were there.
Yeah, all the guys were there. Marv, Taser, Rich,
Gabriel, Chiz.
Gabriel, Chizzo.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's a good turnout. Good vibe.
It was
man.
really good,
night.
man. And I love that. I love the fact that everyone really just came to support Gina. And I think even because Gina's obviously got a female-led community. So I think it was even nice for all the guys to come up and show out as well. Even Jason was working out as well. Show up and showed out. Sid was there as well. At least he was there. He hasn't been on TDA yet, but that's good. I'm glad you can show up places. Put your hands down, Brennan. Focus on the camera work. It was a lot of fun. It was very fun. What's going on? What happened?
Don't know what you said.
What did I say? Mute the mic quickly.
Yeah, you see?
Sorry.
Because
I remember I wanted to hear that.
Yeah, that's what you wanted to
You
hear.
did.
Sorry.
So yes, Coach, I'm gonna keep atting you until you come on. TDA.
Now your response matches up because I was.
Imagine like I was thinking. What did I say? When I big up Sid though. But yeah, man, it was really good, man. It was really, really good. Really, really good. All right. So the man who's meant to lead the Black History Month. Are we doing that still?
Yes.
That's still a thing.
That's still the thing. He's gonna have to make it quick. The man who's meant to lead it is not here at the moment. Ema, can you hurry up? You got me trying to stall for the Black History Month. Have we done the Burkina place? We did that last week, didn't we?
No, today.
Oh, nice. You got to speed up though, because. No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Brent. Thank you. No, what? Oh, man. What now?
What happened? You not started.
Brent, hit the button, please, Brent. I've got hair.
Go on, King.
The silence is deafening. I just can't.
All right, so today, Black History Month, yeah? Lest we forget. So our country today that we're going to be bigging up is Burkina Faso.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. Well, Burkina Faso was part of the Mossi Kingdom, right? So this was a kingdom that was founded around the 11th century and ruled in that particular region until the end of the 19th century, right? They called the land Mogo, which is the country of the Mossi, and they established 5 independent kingdoms. So this was a mighty empire around that time, right? There's so much artifacts as well, Brent. If you can type in MOSSI.
Mossi what?
Mossi, kingdom.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you should see a lot of the things they did. Also, Burkina Faso is a country that boasts 3 impressive UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Okay. Right. So they got the ruins of Lorapeni, which is located near the borders of Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Togo, and it's nearly 1,000 years old. Right. They've also got the ancient ferrous metallurgy sites, which date back to the 8th century, and is the oldest surviving evidence of iron production in the country. Mm-hmm. Right, and they've also got the W. Ali Penjari complex, and this is like a transnational property shared between Niger, Burkina Faso, and the Republic of Benin, and it encompasses terrestrial, semi-aquatic, and aquatic ecosystems in the West African savanna belt. So all these 3 are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Also, Burkina Faso is home to a famous mosque, and if you, Brent, can type in the Grand Mosque, basically, but it's obviously written in French, but Grand, and then mosque with an extra E on the end, right? In Burkina Faso, you'll see how unique it looks. And basically, this is one of the most exceptional examples of a Sahel-style mud architecture in the region. And it was made from mud brick, projected wood beams, and horizontal beams. And yeah, basically it includes...
That is beautiful.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Listen, wait a goddamn minute.
If you dare say what you ever say.
There it is. Yeah, that's it.
Looks
They
a
would
bit
have
different
cooked
now.
you, you know.
That's it.
Looks a bit
I
different
thought you
now,
were gonna
doesn't
say-
it?
See, look at that. That's beautiful, man.
That's not what she meant.
I've spoken enough today. Taking a break.
Oh, gosh. This thing just... Hold on 1 second. Yeah, so basically, obviously, yeah, like I said, that's one of the most famous mosques in the region. And it includes 2 minaret towers and a prayer hall. Also, like some of the other countries that we spoke about last week, Burkina Faso is one of the youngest nations in the world. So the median age in Burkina Faso is 17 years old. 17 years old. More than 2/5 of the population is younger than 15. Than the age of 15, yeah. More than 2/5. So it's not as much as Uganda.
Yeah, because theirs was wild.
But yeah, more than 2/5. Burkina Faso also has the 9th highest fertility in the world. So with an average of 5.2 children per woman.
What? 5 kids?
That's less than, what was it? Was it Uganda or Kenya?
Yeah,
No,
one
we
of them
haven't done
shocked
Kenya.
me. 2
That was
plus
like
kids
6.
shocks me.
Yeah.
I was just having that conversation the other day, and I was like, I don't know how people are having 7 kids.
Because that's probably the biggest pastime over there, just slamming, isn't it?
That's true.
When you think about it, a lot of choppings is going to be going on over
What's
there.
going on?
That's how you build, you know what I mean? Strong family and communication.
That's what they tell you.
In the West, we
There's
get...
another theory, but After the clip Ben put out me the other day, I'm going to keep it to myself.
But yeah, 5.2 kids per woman. So obviously, some people out there having 7 and 8, right? The yearly population growth rate is more than double the world average. Obviously,
Wow.
because of this,
They be doing it.
I'm telling you, active.
Yeah, active.
And last but definitely not least, Burkina Faso is home to an unusual geological formation. So they've got something called the Sindou Peaks, so Sindou, and yeah, peaks. And this is basically one of Burkina Faso's most mesmerizing sites. So this particular area, or at least the rock formation, was formed millions of years ago. Okay. And so basically you've got some, if Brent can put it up, Sindou Peaks, Sindou. And basically these are like unique sand cones, you know what I'm saying? And apparently these were once underwater. But over the years, obviously, certain things occurred, this, that, and the third, and obviously it formed these iconic shapes. So yeah, man, that's Burkina Faso. And of course, they got a beautiful flag. And I'm pretty sure you can see the flag on the screen. Yeah. You've got like 2 horizontal lines, red at the top. I shouldn't say line stripes, but basically, yeah, red stripe at the top, green at the bottom, and you've got a yellow star in the middle. And the red symbolizes the revolution.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? The green symbolizes the abundance of agriculture and natural riches. And the yellow star placed over the red and green stripes represent the guiding light of the revolution.
Was that always the flag?
No, I believe it was adopted afterwards.
After the name change?
Mm-hmm. So after the coup that brought about the great Thomas Sankara into power, he brought basically this flag. Yeah. But we're going to get into that because obviously, as you know, Thomas Sankara changed the name of the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso. He also, I believe, composed the national anthem, and he inspired this flag as well. So yeah, everything seems to change since 1983 for the country. But yeah. Some of their notable foods. Let's get into some of their foods. Give me 1 second, please. And one of the main things, so basically, like typically, like just like in other parts of West Africa and Africa as a whole, I guess, some of the staple ingredients in all of their cuisines is like okra. They got millet, they got beans, maize, rice. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Obviously peanuts, yams and things of that nature, right? Yeah. But one of their first notable dishes is something called, and I hope I pronounced it correctly, ragu dinyami. So Ragout. And then D''IGNAME. And this is like a yam stew that's prepared using yams, of course, carrots, ginger, pepper, garlic, tomatoes, onions. So it's known to kind of resemble like a casserole, and it's normally seasoned only with like salt and pepper. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Okay. They've got something called babenda.
Did you wasn't? Sorry.
You want to spell it? Okay, so ragu, Ragout.
Yeah.
And then space D''IGNAME. DIGNAME. Yes, and like I was saying, it's like a yam stew prepared using, of course, yams, carrots, ginger, pepper, garlic, tomatoes, and onions. Yep, there you go. They got something else called babenda as well, right?
Looks nice, actually. I'll try that.
Mm-hmm. And babenda is like a popular consumed like one pot dish.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's generally prepared using bitter greens. Yeah. It's got kale, spinach, mustard greens, Swiss chard. You know what I'm saying?
That looks lovely.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Pesto.
There you go. This is something I would be eating all the time.
Yeah, you would. That's right up your street.
One interesting ingredient added to this dish as well includes fermented locust beans. Yeah, man. So that's also known as dawa dawa, locust beans.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We eat
Yes,
that.
we do.
That shit stinks. So maybe that's where the part they ferment.
Maybe. I don't know.
If it's what I know to be locust beans,
Even from the description here, it basically adds a certain flavor to it.
It does have a
It's
flavor
kind
there.
of suggestive of blue cheese. That's what it's
It does have
described
a-
here.
it does have a
so
flavour
it's got
there.
that something there, man.
Love that.
They got something called, I believe it's pronounced Rizgras. So RIZ and then GRAS. 2 separate words. And this is also like a one pot dish as well. That's prepared using white rice, tomato paste, and vegetables, including like eggplant, carrots, onions, chili peppers, garlic. Yeah, man. You notice there's not a lot of meat here.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You know
But
what I'm
why
saying?
is that though?
Because they wanted to, you know what I mean?
It's either that or poverty. You know? But I like that they're healthy people.
Healthy
which
people,
is good.
man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is actually considered to be the national dish of Burkina Faso. This one.
Is it coming up?
Here we go, bro.
Did he spell it?
Yeah.
He did very quickly though.
RIZ space GRAS. Apparently in French it means
Riz
fat
grass.
rice. Yeah, riz grass. It means fat rice in French.
Okay, well.
Obviously, some people add some meat to the dish, but that's not important.
Oh, so it's kind of like their jollof rice. That's more like native rice. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
um,
It's funny. Google images. The images are never consistent. You know.
Yeah.
I guess people make it slightly different, innit? From family to family. And
Yeah, but I just like spinach in the corner there. Okay, and that's their dish.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It's seen as like a national dish. Okay, so we'll get into some notable people. 1 second. So there's a gentleman by the name of Diabedo Francis Kere, and he's a well-known, award-winning architect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So apparently he's famous for being the first African to win the Pritzker Architecture Prize. He's also recognized to be the first African to design the Serpentine Pavilion, which is a temporary building that is designed annually in Kensington Gardens and Hyde Park, central London in 2017. So he was the first person who did that. First African, pardon me. He studied architecture at the University of Berlin. And yeah, man, he's been putting in a lot of work and putting his country on the map. Somebody by the name of Gabin Dabire, and he was born in Burkina Faso also, and from Burkina Faso. He's recognized as a singer, composer, guitarist, and a choral player. And he's lived in Italy since 1975. But his genre of music is broad, apparently, and he doesn't just touch on, I guess, music that's known to people from Burkina Faso and stuff, but he tends to incorporate that into his sound. Of course, the most known person, but again, we're going to get into that a bit later in the show. And he goes
Oh,
by the
will
name.
we?
And of course, he goes by the name of Thomas Sankara. You know what I'm saying? The revolutionary, the Pan-Africanist, you know what I mean? The legend. And he was obviously prime minister. Sorry, he was prime minister first, but he became the president of Burkina Faso in 1983 to 1987, when obviously he was sadly assassinated. But he brought about so much change in the country. And again, we will get into that, man.
Nice.
But we'll wrap up there.
Wow. I just forgot to myself.
That's not even funny.
Sorry.
You see, that's not even after you laughed.
Caught myself.
So you can introduce in the headlines or whatever it is. Oh.
But yeah, that's... All right, so our first headline. The Met Police have made 2 arrests after hundreds of people attended a pro-Israel rally in central London on Sunday, calling for the safe return of hostages by Hamas. The Solidarity Rally in Trafalgar Square was organised by a number of groups, including the Board of Deputies of British Jews. Many in the crowd chanted, "Bring them home," and held signs that said, "Release the hostages," whilst others carried Israeli flags and placards showing the faces of those taken hostage. The Met Police said that 2 arrests were made, one for a racially aggravated public order offence after a man drove past shouting anti-Semitic abuse. As the visual drew to a close, a second arrest was then made, and this was for a public order offence after shouting abuse towards those people that were taking part. Community Secretary Michael Gove told the rally that Britain stands with Israel. On Saturday, 10 people were arrested after up to 100,000 people attended a pro-Palestine rally that began at Marble Arch and ended outside the Downing Street. Attendees held signs that read "Freedom for Palestine" and "Stop bombing Gaza," as they called for a ceasefire and humanitarian corridor in Gaza. Fireworks were launched at officers and 5 received minor injuries, according to the Met. They said that the 10 arrests were for offences involving fireworks, public order, and assaulting an emergency service worker. There was another guy here that's been arrested, and this guy, see, this is the thing. When you go to these type of rallies, everyone obviously is sympathising with the Palestinians, because everyone's becoming more and more aware of how all this nonsense started, right, in the first place. But then when you get certain people who kind of course, the anger's there, the passion's there, but then it seems like they kind of take it too far, especially in this country. You can't do certain things, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, he just got himself in trouble, and he just shed a bad light, man, on the thing. But anyway, in this particular video, he's chanting stuff like, "God's curse be upon the Jews." God's curse be upon Israel. He's waving a flag. You know that what is it called?
The Hitler flag.
No, it's a black and white Shahada flag, right?
Okay.
So he's waving this around. It's the type of flags that, let me not say the type of flags, but anyway, it's the type of flag that a lot of the time when you see in certain groups like ISIS and all that type of stuff, yeah, it kind of gives that same type of imagery. So to the person who doesn't know the meaning of the words,
they just attach it to
you kind of think it's the same type of group, especially when he's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's stupid and passionate as well. So anyway, he's been arrested as well on suspicion of inciting racial hatred. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Okay.
Next headline, and Suella Braverman, she's looking to meet with the Met Police Commissioner today and question him about the force's response to incidents during this weekend's pro-Palestinian protests in London, what we just spoke about. A video posted online appeared to show a man chanting jihad during a rally by an Islamist group on Saturday. The Met said no offences were identified in the clip of the protest, which was separate to the main march. But the Home Secretary wants an explanation from the Commissioner. The meeting between Ms. Braverman and the Met Police chief was already in the diary to discuss the ongoing protests and combating anti-Semitism. But a source close to the Home Secretary said that she would use it to also question him about his views on the force's response to Saturday's incident. The source said that there would be no place for incitement to hatred or violence on British streets. Ms. Braverman has clearly urged the police to crack down on anyone that's breaking the law. And a statement from the force said it had not identified any offences arising from the specific clip, adding that the word jihad had a number of meanings, right? It also said that no further action will be taken after it reviewed photographs of protesters holding banners referring to Muslim armies. Home Office Minister Robert Jenrick said that he believed the chant amounted to inciting terrorist violence and needed to be tackled with the full force of the law. And the last headline takes us to Israel, where the far-right security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, has said that there should be no guarantee of continuous aid to Gaza unless Hamas agrees to release all the hostages it continues to hold. So Ben-Gvir, he released a statement on X, formerly known as Twitter, following the news that a second UN convoy of 14 trucks carrying humanitarian aid had been allowed to enter into Gaza on Sunday. So he's come out and said any agreement on continuous aid to Gaza that does not include the release of our abductees is a continuation of the concept that has led us to where we are. That's what he was saying. He said humanitarian aid only in exchange for the release of all the abductees. A first convoy of 20 trucks carrying aid were allowed to enter Gaza on Saturday. Before the conflict, around 500 trucks of aid entered Gaza every day. Imagine, this is according to the UN. Before this conflict, 500 trucks of aid entered Gaza every day. But since this situation, only 20 trucks have gone through. So, yeah, man. So Hamas continues to hold about 200 people kidnapped during the 7th of October attacks. And yeah, that's it for the headlines.
Thank you. Let's get into what you're saying to book of the day. Cool.
All right, guys. So today's topic of the day, we're going to keep it nice and brief and whatnot, yeah?
Nice.
And this is something that I was just minding my business. In fact, I was on my way to Gina's event yesterday. I'm listening to LBC, and I can't remember who the presenter was or the host or whatever. And he was talking about Lenny Henry and how he had some comments talking about how he wants the teaching of Black history to be incorporated into the curriculum as a theme all the way through, right? So he's saying, obviously, we're not just Black 1 month of the year, innit? We're Black throughout the year. and children's education needs to incorporate all of Black history rather than it just being a topic that we kind of touch upon certain times once a year. Obviously, we're all going to pretty much agree that should be the case, right? But it's interesting that some people, I basically want to kind of present some of the other argument and see what you guys think. So basically, the presenter was talking about, okay, if this is the case, right? Two things here. Could it potentially sow division? So if, for example, we're specifying and outlining certain times throughout the year, right, part of the curriculum, we're talking about Black history. Obviously, some of the history is not going to be great because the reality is, well, this is from his perspective. He's a white man, right? It's not going to be great. And this potentially could, create some divisions. And we don't want to be like America. This is number one. This is what he's saying. So this is why he's somewhat against it, right? And number two, if we do this for Black people, why shouldn't we do it for Chinese people? Why don't we talk about Sun Tzu? Why don't we do this for the people in India and Pakistan? Why don't we talk about their history as well? And it'll get to a point where it's like everything becomes diluted because you can't talk about everybody. You know what I'm saying? Does he have a point?
Does he mean like different other stuff? Because does he mean that other stuff that's not already in the curriculum? Like where they go to the transatlantic slave trade and all that kind of stuff, that's part of history. I'm guessing that's part of the curriculum because everybody goes through with it. But it's not just in October they do it, is it? Or is it?
What, as in for other groups, you're saying? Or for...
No, I'm saying like when
Black history.
When you go through history and you get into the part of it, which is the transatlantic slave trade, and you learn all about that, that's part of the curriculum, innit? But I'm asking you, do they just teach that in Black History Month, or does that can come up any time in the year, right?
I think it may come at any time in the year, but I think what he's trying to say is that there's much more emphasis on Black history only in Black History Month. Yeah,
but what I'm trying to say is he asking for them to teach a different type of Black history? Because I was under the impression that is already in the curriculum. It's just the transatlantic slave trade bit. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Is that a universal thing across the land though? Because I don't remember in school having like Black History Month there being Black history being taught. I actually don't remember that.
Again, what type of Black history are you talking about? Because they definitely do
Black history.
Well, they do the transatlantic slave trade. That's part of the curriculum.
Yeah.
Look into my school. I'm gonna ask my sisters. I honestly
They do
don't remember that.
Ancient Egypt. I don't know if you're gonna count that.
Okay.
They do Ancient Egypt. They do.
But this is the thing though. So one other guy who caught up, he was talking about how they may touch on certain things, but they don't talk about accurately and include Black people. So for example, the Second World War, they don't really include in Black people's contribution.
Yeah.
Talking about Egypt, they're not talking about how the people of Kemet were actually Black people.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like they kind of.
That's what I'm saying.
do
Is he
enough.
basically saying to like do it properly?
Exactly. And if you do it properly, there's no way you can get away from talking about Black people. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what the argument is. But this other guy is talking about, okay, well, if you do this, you're going to have to do this for everybody. You haven't talked about the Chinese, you're going to have, you know what I'm saying?
Is that Chinese History Month?
No.
Okay. So if there's no Chinese History Month, that's because clearly we don't feel like there needs to be a Chinese History Month.
Yeah, I guess
So we don't need to be learning Chinese history then.
But then I guess his argument would be, well, if the Chinese say we need to learn about history.
No. Black
Maybe
History Month.
India and that I can understand because the British had a massive impact on India, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know when is Gandhi and all that kind of stuff. Is that part actually part
We
of the
learn about
curriculum?
Gandhi.
You do, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's
it's
a hero.
They love Gandhi.
He was racist, but he's a hero.
so it's in there already. So they can't do that.
The thing is, with Chinese history anyway, a lot of the history is typically taught with how it reflects on British Empire, right? So you'll hear about the Boxer Rebellion in Hong Kong, right? But if that's effectively it, I mean, like you're not going to really hear about anything else, essentially. So long as it touches on like British history or whatever, or the way that people perceive, you know, other different cultures and other different nationalities and other different countries and how they basically reflect on Britain's greatness. You learn that.
Yeah. This is the winner's the one who gets to dictate the history, innit?
This is it.
So basically what they're saying is maybe tell the history not from a British standpoint, to just tell it properly, which would be fair. But again, that could be is right what you're saying, that could be to everybody, not just Black people. We're saying the Asian people, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be revamped. It needs to be told properly or done like a better job of doing it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? But again, they're not gonna do that.
Because that will cause the discourse that they think is going to cause. Even if there wasn't Black History throughout the curriculum throughout the year, and they just do in October, that will cause problems. That separation that person speaks of, that will cause that. So that it is in their best interest not to give you the full scope.
I don't know, man. I just think you have to tell those stories because one, it just goes to show how much we all have in common, right? I mean, like everybody thinks that like I'm different because I'm Nigerian, you're this, you're that, but ultimately there's so many commonalities that underpin all of our stories, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think when people better understand history, then you can better understand why people have grievances. And when you understand why people have grievances, then you have the empathy. And when you have the empathy, then you can have the kind of like the right kind of discourse, essentially. But it's one of those things where I think for a lot of people who back in 2020, 2021, when people were like basically marching and trying to like rip down statues of Winston Churchill, British people didn't understand why. You know, a lot of like white British people didn't understand why people will be pissed off with Winston Churchill. Like he's a hero. He saved us. He beat the Nazis, right? But then obviously, if you hear about what he did in India, right? Some of the policies that he basically like espoused in India, like of course there are going to be people who are going to be rightly upset about that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But also, I'll take the standpoint that we always treat this place like it's ours, if that makes sense. And it's like it's their country. It's not their place to talk about the bad stuff he done. You're right. That's their hero. He defeated the Nazis. Winston Churchill. That's the white people's thing. That's their statue.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? So, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. But and obviously, there's inclusivity, diversity. The whole country's changed now. But people, essentially, whatever. But people, it's like people forget where they're living. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think you got a cheek to come here to this country and tell them
I want my curriculum
about who they can support. This is their champions. You know what I'm trying to say? Like Nelson's column and them man, they're like, this is their people. What do you want from? What do you want to do? So I know that might sound a bit ignorant, but I don't really get involved in their business because this is their country, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I feel like the curriculum is never going to really reflect what it is that they actually did to Black people. It's not in their best interest to do that. But that's where Black people, we have to be the ones teaching our kids at home.
Yeah, you got to educate your kids. That's what I'm saying.
This is why.
Like they say, like history's written by the winners, right?
Yeah.
And for the vast majority of recent history, the British Empire won significantly. The sun didn't set on the British Empire for a very long time. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, we do have to teach, and it's about giving people the resources. Because a lot of the stuff that I've actually like come to know about like African history, I learned well after uni. Well after uni. Like I didn't even know about like Thomas Sankara until I think almost until like I was like nearly 30 years old. I didn't even know man like was even that big. Patrice Lumumba, no idea. Obviously you heard like Kwame Nkrumah, but like I didn't even know like he was that big. You know what I mean? I didn't understand the connections between a lot of the kind of like African the people who kind of like led the kind of African like independence movements. I didn't know how they connected to like some of the Black Panther parties in the US, for example. No idea until well after uni. So I think it's just one of those things, but like getting resources available to people so they can actually like learn those things themselves and then teach their kids. Because to be Black in a society where you are a minority, you need to learn about the things that empower you. Because and the thing that empower you is like learning about your history.
Yeah.
Like when you learn about your history, then obviously like you can walk around and nobody can tell you to go back to where you came from because you understand how you got here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That's the word.
But then with that in mind then, do you feel like it's pointless us even trying to get them to change the curriculum? Or is it the best thing just to focus on ourselves and understand that the job is ours to do?
the job is definitely ours, but I also think incremental progress over time matters as well, because is that incremental progress, especially when it's also about like building like allyship as well, right? Because what you don't want is a scenario where people are being like, yo, this is why we're vexed. And then they're like, but why are you vexed though? And it's like, no, but this happened, but they have no context or no idea as to why that happened. And because they had no idea as to why that happened, they're looking at you like, bro, like, what's going on? Like, slavery was a long time ago. Because we hear that all the time, right? Slavery was like 400 years ago, whatever. But that's not really what that is. It's about how systemic all of that stuff is. There's just institutions that underpin those things are still in place, right? And those institutions inform how people perceive people, right? So if you can start breaking those things down, then you can kind of get to like a more harmonious, you know what I mean, like a more harmonious society where people can kind of see each other as people first instead of like, yo, I'm different, you're different, and use our differences to basically categorize each other in really negative ways.
So do you believe, right, that in the West, especially in this country, that if people had the information, right, people are, I don't want to sound obviously defeatist, but people will develop that empathy?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be the, like,
You'd
imagine
be surprised.
I mean, but just think about like how everybody is here, though, right? Somebody tells you something specifically, right?
Yep.
And it's like, and give you evidence that like the way that you were thinking is wrong. Like, unless you choose to be like super stubborn about it, you're gonna change your mind, right?
Yeah, I
You know
suppose.
what I mean, you're gonna change your mind. So this is what I'm saying. Like,
But isn't that same stubbornness essential for imperialism
oh,
and colonialism?
yeah, but the thing is, obviously, we know that like these, like a lot of dudes here, a lot of like how people, the pride that people get from Britishness is deeply linked to like delusions of empire,
100%.
empire that doesn't exist anymore.
100%.
I mean, people still say Great Britain. It's not great. It's United Kingdom now. You know what I mean, but it's like the idea of Great Britain for these people. Sometimes it's just the reason why they're like, no. Like, and that's part of the reason why when you learn history, it's Battle of 1066,
Exactly.
World War II, boom. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, I grew up. I have the benefit of obviously growing up here, growing up in the U.S. And then I came back here. So I've got to see like that lens play out on two really big. Obviously, the UK was big in its day, but obviously America was a hegemony from like after World War II essentially, and see how that played out over time. And effectively, like you teach things to reinforce things. You know what I mean? So you teach things to reinforce a sense of empire, reinforce a sense of greatness, reinforce a sense of majesty. Part of the reason why we still have the royal family, you know what I mean? Like it speaks to an era that obviously, like if nobody would create a monarchy today, but that shit's been around since like 1066 or so on, right? So that's just basically what it is for me.
But you know the thing is, I hear what you're saying, and I feel like there will be some people who will feel that sense of connection and be empathetic to it, right? But in this day and age, we still get people, authors, historians writing books talking about colonialism and saying, yes, people are saying it was bad, the British Empire was bad, but look at the good we did.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you've got that type of mentality, how can we then feel like there will be that empathy and you know what I'm saying? And see
They're not gonna have
ourselves.
the empathy, and a lot of the things that they were doing. If you see the rhetoric and stuff that they was pushing out at the time, they was doing a good thing. You know what I'm trying to say? Like the masses,
exactly.
That the propaganda that they put out, the masses believed that these people were uncivilized,
Savages,
uncultured. You know what I'm trying to say? Savages. Their heads were smaller. They're less intelligent. We're going to help them.
you,
Like, that's what you're trying to say. We're going to put these infrastructures in place. Boom, boom, boom. That's genuinely what they believed. Like, and a lot of people, like I'm saying, a lot of people bought into it. Like, as far as they was on a crusade to go and help. You know what I'm trying to say? Bring the rest of the world up to speed.
Yeah, man.
Like, and they're crazy. Like, they really go to these places and rename things and discover things. It's like, what are you talking about? This was here
Been there, bro.
long before you.
Yeah, man.
You get what I'm trying to say? Like, you are
yeah.
crazy, but so they're never gonna have that mindset because. Again, a lot of them didn't feel like that they was doing wrong, and regardless of all the atrocities that they caused them that year, they are literally going to point to the fact that look what we done. We went, we built railroads and build things. That's just their mindset, innit? I don't think you can change it.
I feel like we've got a bit, I feel like it's more productive for us to have black schools, like weekend schools and stuff like that, than trying to change the curriculum. I feel like that's our energy is better spent doing that, promoting that, pushing that within the community than actually trying to change our system.
No, I think that's facts because, like, you know, like you have Jewish schools, Chinese schools after work. You have like all these different communities, you know, other European communities who have like their different versions of schools after school, effectively. You know what I mean? But I think part of the problem is there isn't a kind of harmonious like black school that you can implement, right? Because what does a black school look like if I'm Nigerian and you're Ghanaian and you're Sierra Leonean and you're Caribbean and not even Caribbean? Like, I mean, even the Caribbean is a really big thing. I mean, it's a huge construct. I mean, Jamaicans are different from people from Trini people are different from blah. So it's like, what do we understand like the foundation is, right, for blackness essentially, and how do we effectively teach that
Yeah.
in an environment where we are all essentially minorities here, as you said. Like, this is when you're walking around and you're walking around in a society where you're not part of the dominant group. How do you ensure that you can kind of stay true to yourself by understanding your history, walking with your head held high? And that's like a problem that I typically suffer with, because even though like I'm trying to break into becoming an artist, I mean, like I've got a very, very like corporate like situation.
Yeah.
I mean, where like I'm literally like the only black person. Like,
So you whispered
So
that.
you whispered it.
Black history, you better speak up.
like I'm literally like the only black person, like literally, like, you know, like on the floor sometimes, and I'm like, raw. I mean, but obviously, like, and that's part of the reason why I had to go and like learn about myself.
Yeah.
I mean, and that gives me the confidence to then like project myself into the world.
See, okay, so learning about yourself, what did that look like?
Man, you know what? So like obviously like when you go traveling around Europe and stuff, right, and you see all these like big buildings and like they're like oh, this was built in like 1412 and that was built in like 1253. And you're like, raw, like why don't we have stuff like that? And then it's just basically just a Google thing. And you start Googling stuff and you're like, actually, you know, the Benin Empire had like the largest like man-made like wall structure in the world, longer than the flipping Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, but like, how come this doesn't exist? And then you realize that like, when the British came, they razed all that to the ground.
To the ground.
You know what I
The
mean?
damage that they've done with like taking away history, like just burning books.
Burning, and you know
Like,
what?
you get what I'm trying to say? That damage is ridiculous. So because your history's gone,
You
there's
know
nothing
what
to
it
pass
was?
on.
What people don't realize is a lot of our kind of like, you know, classical history is typically linked to religious history, right? So a lot of the big massive structures that you see, the churches and stuff, they were built as places of worship.
Yeah.
When Christian missionaries came, like when the Arabs came from across Africa and basically spread their religions, a lot of the people who adopted those religions saw their institutions of worship as pagan, and they would demolish it.
Yeah.
They would destroy stuff. Know what I mean? So, you know, because I was in Mexico a couple of weeks ago, and I went to, you know, I saw the Teotihuacanas, like those pyramids. I went to like the Aztec museums and stuff. And basically, they used to believe that in order to kind of guarantee that the sun would come up, they had to do a human sacrifice every day.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally, so they would like sacrifice, like, so like effectively works out like a 1% of the population would be sacrificed, because in order for anything good to happen, you have to do like a human sacrifice to the gods. When the Christians came, the Christians were like, actually, you don't have to sacrifice people, because God came down in human form and sacrificed himself for y'all. So they were like, yo, I bet, right? And then they stopped all that stuff, and they basically like decided that they were going to follow this religious path, right? And then everything that they had, essentially, you know, from, you know, all the kind of relics, they stopped like looking after it. So that Teotihuacan, the famous statue in Mexico, like that was discovered like into like the 1900s, even though it was built like many years before, because it had just been overgrown with stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and if that wasn't discovered, then that whole area wouldn't have been excavated in a way for us to actually now go and see it. You know what I mean? So I just think sometimes a lot of that kind of like history, in terms of finding my personal history, was just more a case of like, why don't I see more evidence of stuff that, you know, I see abroad? And it's like understanding that kind of religious aspect and thinking like, raw, okay, that's how like deeply this thing kind of like permeated, basically, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? When I think about just the future, right? Because I guess for one side of the argument we'll kind of see it as, you know what? If we really want to claim to be British, then our history should kind of be the same, and there shouldn't be a focus on the individual cultures. You know what I'm saying? But more so an holistic view of the past, right? Which obviously robs us of our identity, right? But if somebody has that particular viewpoint, especially when you're looking into the future, do they have a point?
I mean, the thing is, I get the commonality argument, right? So like, we are all the same people because we've all experienced the same thing, and our history is all the same, and our language and our culture and history. Like, but the thing is, like, Britishness has morphed into, you know, this shire battling that shire, to basically conquest across the globe, right? To the introduction of people into their empire, right? Into the body of, Britishness. And that also has to be understood, celebrated to the extent that it has, because it has enriched Britishness. I mean, I consider myself a Londoner because even though, my family's Nigerian, was born here, grew up in Atlanta, spent some time in New York, like, London suits me because of how international the city is. I mean, like, I feel like I can come here. There is a niche for literally every single person, and I get to be this version of British within a London context. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's how a lot of people experience this city. And obviously, like, if you go to like Grantham or whatever, like them places up north, that's going to be a very different experience of Britishness that you get, right? But they're all still equally British. You know what I mean, in my view, because ultimately, like, however your family ended up here, they came here because of exposure to Britishness, right? And often that exposure was colonialism. My father came in the 60s on a Western region scholarship. You know what I mean? That was his first introduction to the UK. You know what I mean? If that didn't happen, none of my family are here, essentially. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like stuff like that you begin to kind of realize that, like, that's all part of like the Britishness, the British history, the British context that we all have. It just basically is, we also have the addition of, outside of our Britishness, we have other things. So I got my Nigerian Yoruba heritage. I was literally in Lagos up until yesterday. I mean, I can trace my family back to a spot in Abeokuta called Bagura, where my family kind of like they moved down from the 1830s to that spot. And that's dope for me. But that's an addition to my culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In addition to like me being, grew up in London, I see London as home, like I want to make it in the city, right? That also makes me British too. And I think for a lot of like, people of color, we have that duality within us, right? And it shouldn't be a fight. That's something we should be able to kind of carry. I mean,
Do you see yourself more British than anything else?
I see myself as a Londoner.
More of a Londoner than an African?
Oh, nah, I wouldn't say that though, because the African is like, it's like the foundation. It's like if I'm building a house, the African is the foundation of the house. You know what I mean? So your house is, without the foundation, you don't have a house, effectively. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying, like that African foundation that I've got, that Yoruba foundation that I have, being able to like trace my family roots down to a single street in Nigeria. You know what I mean? Like that for me, it gives me the strength that I need to carry myself anywhere I go. And I travel extensively. Like I lived in China for a few months, like over a decade ago. Walk around China, bro, head held high, even though people are looking at you like, yo, why are you? And that's what they do. Like, bro, somebody came up to me and like literally was like, to see if my skin come off. Because they didn't understand like where the blackness comes from.
Imagine.
You know what I mean? So, but you can walk through that ignorance because I know exactly like where I'm rooted in.
Yeah. That's it.
Right. Well, obviously you did touch on certain things regarding your family.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that a bit later.
Yeah, a little bit later, yeah.
So I think we can wrap up this topic because we have kind of touched on it a couple of times during the show, right? But yeah, so I think, we can move on to the headlines, man.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say thank you. I was thinking that's not our thank you to. It's not for us to say thank you. It's yours. So
You smell good.
I smell good.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what cologne that was.
It's like Tom Ford, bro.
Which one?
It's what is it? Ombre leather.
It's
I like
fantastic.
smell that.
You know what I mean? It's ombre leather, man. I just try to make sure that when I come out, the piff is good. Always.
That's good. That is good.
Appreciate you, man. Honestly, like this is, and I'm actually like seen this as well before, so it's actually mad that I'm actually on this thing.
Love
Like
it.
it's actually mad.
Much
I
appreciated.
mean,
All right. So our next headline, right, brings us back to the UK with Rishi Sunak, right? So he's facing discontent amongst his backbenchers as he heads into the 1-year anniversary of his time in number 10. Can you imagine he's been Prime Minister for almost a year already?
I forget that man is there. When I think of prime ministers of this land, he does not even come into my brain. I actually forget he's a prime minister.
was there longer than Liz Truss.
Very
Well,
forgettable.
I mean, Liz
I
Truss.
remember Liz Truss, but I remember him. I don't know. She was like, he didn't do nothing.
Might need the Asian History Month.
No, he's not gonna put that in though, man.
No
He's
chance.
like, he's gonna be the last person doing the Asian history month.
100%. Yeah. The Prime Minister is under pressure from right-wingers for tax cuts and more conservative policies, while moderates are pushing for more Senator Grand plans that deal with the cost of living to stop votes being lost to Labour. With the one-year anniversary of his premiership due on Wednesday, up to 25 Conservative MPs are prepared to put in letters of no confidence in his leadership following the disastrous by-election losses in Tamworth and Mid-Bedfordshire. That's what we spoke about last week. So, however, many more Tory MPs are resigned to Sunak leading the party into the next election because of the number of leadership changes the party has already seen since 2019. As you guys know, Theresa May was replaced that year by Boris Johnson. He then gave way to Liz Truss in 2022. And then Sunak took the job from her when she ended her tenure after 44 days. A
She's
record.
a legend for that, you know.
And Shorty's still collecting the pension as
She
well.
has got a lifetime
Collecting
payment.
pension. Do you understand?
44 days of work.
That's like the biggest hustle in the world.
Women
bro.
in
telling you.
finance, love it. Pick up her.
The next headline, Labour's warned, right, that thousands of renters could be forced from their homes if a promised government ban on no-fault evictions in London is delayed. So a new law would end the right of landlords to evict tenants for no reason with only 2 months' notice. And it was a Tory manifesto pledge and is due to be debated by MPs this week. So ministers maintain the bill will be passed, but Labour say they fear it will be watered down, amid reports of a backlash amongst pro-landlord Tory MPs. The Conservatives promised a better deal for renters, including a ban on no-fault evictions under Section 21 of housing legislation in its manifesto ahead of the general election in 2019. So since then, they've been talking about this. But in May, the Renters Reform Bill was introduced with this measure, but the delay in bringing it back to Parliament has caused unease amongst MPs and housing charities. So last week, housing charities warned delays risked causing more avoidable hardship and suffering and a greater cost to the taxpayer. However, the Housing Minister, Rachel McLean, said the Conservatives would deliver on their manifesto pledge to end no-fault evictions and strengthen landlords' right of possession on issues like antisocial behaviour. So there are concerns that the bill will not have the time to pass through Parliament before the next election, which is expected to take place next year, which obviously we all can tell Labour's going to win, right? And our last headline, a national helpline for victims of modern slavery is reporting a steep rise in contact from overseas workers who came to the UK to help plug staffing gaps in the care sector. So many said that they had paid huge sums to people who brought them over after visa rules changed last year. Unseen UK, which is the actual charity, they said that more than 700 care staff used its helpline in 2022. Ministers say that they strongly condemn offering foreign care at work employers under false pretenses. So according to the charity's latest figures, right, what is shown is in 2021, its helpline was contacted about 15 cases of modern slavery in the care sector, involving 63 potential victims. In 2022, there were 106 cases involving 708 potential victims. And in 2023, the figures, have continued to rise. Apparently, nearly 1 in 5 potential modern slavery victims identified by the charity in 2022 worked in the care sector. The report was published on Monday, and it says that some workers are being charged thousands of pounds for travel to the UK and sponsorship certificates. The cost of sponsorship is a few £100s, which is met by most care companies, but the charity says that a few unscrupulous employers and agents are charging workers as much as 25k, right? Adding interest and deducting the debt from their wages. It's ridiculous.
God.
But that's it for the headlines. It's time to pay the bills.
That's one of my favourite words. Unscrupulous. Sounds so very.
Scrupulous.
Just sounds very serious.
It's a serious
I
thing.
love it.
It's very serious.
All right, let's get into some word on road then. Okay, I don't have much to talk about this lovely morning. However, there is a theme that I think is present in the two stories I have for you this morning. It's a theme of accountability, people lacking accountability. It's a theme of fucking around and finding out. But let's get into it. So basically, Dave Chappelle had a show over the weekend in Boston, right? Dave Chappelle is known for saying whatever is on that man's like mind. Whatever he wants to say, whatever his thoughts and opinions are, you guys are paid to see him and you will listen to what he's got to say. We've heard Dave Chappelle say a lot about everybody. So I don't know why people thought with everything going on in the world right now, they were going to go to Dave Chappelle's show and he was going to, I don't know what they thought he was going to talk about. Candy canes and such. I don't know what they thought he was going to talk about. So obviously they went to the show. He's talking about the war. He's talking about the Israel and Palestine situation. People are out here walking out because he's saying Israel is out here committing war crimes. What did you expect?
Was there a lot of people that walked out?
I don't know. You know, people try and make it seem like it was a lot of them. I feel like it was probably like just
It'll probably be
5.
like it'll be like a noticeable thing. I mean, like I obviously the whole.
Do you know what's always funny though? You say that, but the people that walk out are always the one that come on Twitter
Yeah,
to
them
shout
ones, them ones,
that they
them
walked
ones,
out,
yeah.
and then go to the press about we walked out. Because really, and truly, if it was that noticeable, I feel like a video should be going viral by now.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? But they walked out. They basically said that someone said they feared for their life.
Wow.
They've never feared for their life as much as they did right there and then. And I always find stuff about comedy very funny because with comedy, right, well, depending on the comedian, of course, but they tend to target a group. When they're talking about black people, you're kikiing, you're laughing, it's all funny, it's all games.
Yeah.
When they're talking about Asian people, it's all kiki, you're laughing, it's all fun and games. When they're talking about gay people, it's all funny, it's hilarious. When they talk about transgenders, it's all funny, it's hilarious. But when they start talking about your people now, that's where you want to draw the line and be like, this is absolutely disgusting. I think if you're going to Dave Chappelle, for me, I feel like you're not somebody... Personally, I don't feel like you have like the moral compass that the world at large wants to emulate.
Of course.
You appreciate dark humor in a way. You appreciate the fact that someone makes jokes about the reality, like what's going on in society.
That's always going to happen with Dave Chappelle, I think, because obviously there's opinions, facts, whatever, but I find, in my opinion, that like he talks a lot of like cold, hard truths.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? So when it's your
group.
yeah, when it's your group that he's talking to, you're never gonna like.
You're never gonna like it.
gonna like what he's saying, because even a lot of the way of his comedy, like the setups to his comedy, he's giving you like real information. Like you can actually learn something when you're listening to him. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's the truth he's talking to you, and he goes into history and telling you things that happen and all that. So whatever group you think with, when he's addressing you lot, you're never really gonna like it, are you? Like
This is it. but the thing is that I find that silly though, because you've sat there and watched him make jokes about everybody else. So why would you think that your situation is going to be different, especially with everything going on right now? So my thing is the people that went to see Dave Chappelle. And then you're acting shocked.
I would like to see how he made Israel's war crimes funny. That's what I'd like to see. If I'm honest with you.
But I also think it's like Dave Chappelle is now like he's bigger than comedy now, right? So to like when he headlines a show, it's an event.
Yeah.
So for them people, it's just like, yo, I'm gonna go see Dave Chappelle. So you can tell people I'm gonna go see Dave Chappelle, basically. And obviously, you're going in with that mindset. You're not going into like this man's actually going to speak to you. Right? You know what I mean, like this guy's actually going to say something, and it's going to be a bit. So I think in that regard, like there's some. I think like what is it? Cognitive dissonance, where people just like you want something to be true even in the face of like evidence and stuff, right? And for a lot of people, like the nuances of what's going on in the whole Israel-Gaza conflict, war, occupation, whatever you want to call it, like people can't really wrap their heads around it because everyone's always like, nah, you have to pick a side. And it's like, no, like Hamas did this terrible thing. Israel's reaction is killing people, right? Innocent civilians, and it feels like collective punishment, which shouldn't be the case because that's like illegal under international law, right? And it's like you're allowed to say those two things can both be true.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I just think we're just in this kind of really weird, interesting time where because of how social media is set up, you can only take in information that agrees with your own personal view. So you never really get to hear the other side ever. You know what I mean? And because of that, I think people are just kind of reluctant to accept that, nah, that could be another reality that isn't what they think to be
Yeah.
consistently true.
Yeah. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's facts. No, it's jokes though, because like you said, like he talks about, like there was this huge thing where like the trans rights was trying to like the trans community were trying to basically boycott Dave Chappelle, and that didn't work, right? So if the trans can't get him, right, and he says stuff about Donald Trump that pissed off black people. Remember when Donald Trump first got elected, right? He was like, "Let's give him a chance," and they was like, "What the fuck you mean, give him a chance?"
I only done the monologue on SNL.
Yeah,
innit?
that
They
monologue.
didn't
That's what I'm
like
saying.
that,
He was
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck you mean, give him a chance? And he was like, yo, like, I just said, give the man a
It's a
chance.
suggestion.
Know what I mean? And then obviously, like, you know, black people went up in arms for that. And obviously, with stuff like this, it's you know, and there's this kind of weird notion that there's a lot of like anti-Semitism in black community, in the black community. But I just think it's one of those things where it's just more, there is an instinct within black people that whenever we see and hear about oppression anywhere, we want to fight it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you look at a lot of the protests going on or whatever over the recent weeks, like, you know, black people are standing in solidarity with like Palestinians, because it's like, yo, that's because the language is occupation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, the language is apartheid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously
We can
that's
relate.
that's what I'm saying. So I think it's powerful.
Do you feel like that's our problem though?
What do you mean?
Yes.
Because
You know it is. Because we're always fighting everybody's battles, but when it's us, we're alone. We're alone. The people don't have the same empathy that we have for them, for us.
this is it. Because like in the past, especially people like Malcolm X, right? Stokely Carmichael, they're always talking about, you know, the Palestinian situation over there, right? And I guess their idea is if we kind of join with them,
Yeah.
the fight for injustice around the world, you know what I mean? We can all kind of band it together. But like Esther's saying, and obviously you don't want to be negative, but do the rest of the world, the people that we go to try and assist, even view us as their equals?
No.
No, well, I don't always think that's the case, because like there's always that. I mean, like whenever you walk into a room with a lot of white people, well, depending on the context of it, you either have to kind of like demonstrate that you deserve to be in that room, and it's just like little subtle things. I mean, like you switch up your speaking tone and you like say something smart, and then you're like, all right, cool. All right, he's fine, right? You know what I mean? But you know, during the whole George Floyd thing, like let's not forget, like people came out en masse and supported that. But I think obviously George Floyd was so like blatant, like that was an execution in front of everybody's eyes, right?
Yeah.
That they were able to kind of like, you know what, they might actually have a point here. Like, I mean, it's really bad.
I think a lot of the problems is like ignorance is bliss, innit? You know what I'm trying to say? And a lot of people don't know a lot of what's going on. And obviously, maybe you can make the argument that they don't care enough to know whatever. But the media is so powerful. They put out the images
It keeps
that
it
they
from
want to
them.
put out the images. You know what I'm trying to say? There's a lot of people, and it's not just white people, even black people who are not aware of the atrocities that's going on to other black people every day. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's a lot of people who are not aware that, like America, and that have bombed and got troops in a country of color every single day of the year for the past however many years it's been. Like every day. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, so there's something that you could think out to every day. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I get the idea of saying like, oh, why do you care about people who don't care about us? So you're not caring about what's going on over here. Boom, 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 boom. A lot of people don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? Maybe it's on them because they haven't educated themselves. But at the same time, we all use the same media channels and get bombarded with the same things. A lot of us all know what we know. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, ignorance is bliss, like people say. You get what I'm trying to say? I don't think it's because people just don't care. I think a lot of people just actually not really aware of what's going on. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, there's so much going on. I don't know. Not everybody's got the bandwidth to take up all these fights, innit? So you take what's at the forefront of your mind. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, so I get where people coming from, where it's like, oh, why do you care about what's going on over there when this is going on here?
Yeah.
But again, I think the argument only works with educated people.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm trying to say. Because when you know better, you do better, innit? You know what I'm trying to say? That. So if you know what's going on, but you're still just champing over there and ignoring that, that's different. If you're ignorant to the situation, what do you want people to do?
Oh, facts. You can only do what you know, and I think that's an incredibly powerful point that you made there, because I think, I mean, like, if you feel so moved to kind of like go up and protest, like that's a big thing, because that's like that's showing solidarity, that's creating attention, that's focusing a spotlight, and people are doing that en masse, and it has to be done en masse, because the reality is, like, occupation, apartheid, those things have no place in 2023. You know what I mean? And if you feel that, and the thing is, we also have to like think about what we're fighting for as well, because we're not fighting on that level. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, if you, and I know it's much easier said than done, but if you have an environment that kind of enables you to get a good education, and through that good education, you can get yourself a good job, and that good job you can then that still happens here. It's quite hard because obviously if you come from a really poor background and your environment doesn't really reflect that, then it's harder. But it's not like, you know, you're living in like a tiny strip of land or whatever with like a lot of people basically forced to kind of just stay there. You can't even like come in and out freely. You can't do anything freely. Like there's literally nothing that can be done. And your overlords are an occupying force effectively. Like that's a very different battle.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? But no, but to your point though, it's just like it's for us to basically say, oh, by the way, this is happening and that's happening. Like we need to tell people so that way they can like we can also build allies in that way as well.
Yeah. I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, some people walked out, and apparently what actually started it was he just said how he basically expressed his support for Palestine and said that the students shouldn't be denied job offers, essentially.
Yep.
And then someone then shouted, "Shut up." And that was when he then went into a monologue.
So he didn't even have the monologue plan.
Do you know what it is? I feel like he probably would have been light, because I feel like as much as he says truths and whatnot, he's also aware.
He knows timing.
Yes.
I mean, he knows timing.
Do you know what I mean? He does things with tact. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the person that really should be blamed is that person that says, "Shut up."
That's
Saying
what
that
it
might
is.
not necessarily have been the hill he was walking and prepared to die on
This is
until
it.
someone poked him.
That's what I'm saying. He was like, "Whoa, I wasn't even gonna go there, but now that you said it, right? Cool." Boom.
Yeah. So because after the person says "shut up," they're saying that he accused Israel of killing innocent civilians, committing war crimes. Also said the US was guilty of aiding the slaughter of innocent civilians. You hear the language? I don't think that was on Dave Chappelle's lips before he was told to shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a whole thing, man. And then people said as well that there was people cheering like Free Palestine and cheering him on and whatever. And I guess other people then felt, the people that were affected by those comments felt sick and annoyed.
walked out,
Because someone actually said, "Oh, the audience." This is someone who was there. Said the audience was cheering Chappelle, on during his talk. I was sick. We were sick. I turned to my friends and wife and said, "I think it's time to go." We walked out and met up with many other Jews leaving the show. Never in my life have I felt so unsafe and so fearful of what I was witnessing. And there's a whole thing. But I just think that if you go to Dave Chappelle's show, you need to know what it is that's waiting for you.
I hate that language that's always used though. If someone's there speaking about something that's going on and you say, "Never have I felt so fearful," you're painting the picture that you was about to be attacked.
Exactly.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's not-
I find that so annoying.
he wasn't up
They
there
know what
doing no
they're
hate
doing.
speech. He's just telling the other side of a
He's telling
story.
the other side of the story. But
But they know that's how you get his attention. When you say you felt fearful for your life, that's
But
that's a different ballpark.
I think the thing is, if you go back to like World War II, and like when people start saying disparaging things about like Jewish people, that's always been like the precursor for something bad to happen. You know what I mean? And you know, and I think this person may have been linking it to that, but there's nothing in there that sounded like dehumanizing. You're not calling anybody a cockroach or less than human or subhuman and none of those things. You're basically saying, and this is the kind of stuff that Jon Stewart, who is a very prominent Jewish person, right? That's the stuff that he says as well, right? So would it be better coming out of the mouth of a Jon Stewart, right? Or is it because it's coming out of the mouth of a Dave Chappelle that it becomes quite contentious?
And you want him to just make black jokes.
Well, this is what I'm saying, like watermelon and fried chicken.
Because you went there, because if you're someone, because the way that person sounds, where you're out here bringing your friends, family, and all sorts, it sounds like you look forward to Dave Chappelle doing shows, and then you're there, but now because you're at the quote unquote jokes,
You're butt of the joke. Yeah,
you're the butt of the joke now.
Yeah.
So now your feelings can't take it. So maybe the people that were there when he was speaking about trans people and speaking about gay people and speaking about black people, maybe they're feared for their lives as well. But you didn't care for that. You didn't walk out with them in solidarity to find out why it is that they walked out and why they were so offended. Boy, bye. That's my conclusion of that. Someone else who is found himself in a situation, acting shocked about it, is Taye Diggs' ex-wife.
Oh yeah.
Indina Menzel. So they were married for a while, for a few years and whatnot. And so obviously she's a white woman, he's black. And she's basically saying that she feels as though part of what caused the divorce or the separation is the community. Yeah, no, dead ass. Is the community's disappointment in him for being with a white woman. And again, this is just a thank you very much. This is honestly a fuck around and find out moment. This is also as well, we're not going to take accountability for what we're doing here. I feel like when you're in an interracial relationship, yes, people keep telling you people that love is not enough, but people don't want to listen, so that's great. But why would you be in an interracial relationship and not think it's going to come with challenges to do with your races?
Yeah, and the perception of your races. I mean,
Like, ma'am. So basically, she's saying that.
We don't know where our guest like sits on this topic.
who, me?
Yeah, because he paused for a while. He was looking into the yonder.
No, listen. Here's the thing for me generally, right? Here's the thing for me generally. Like, I mean, like, I'm equal opportunity everything. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if you're the kind of person, if you're not strong enough in yourself to be with somebody of a different race and hold your head high, then you shouldn't be with that person. And I think part of what she's saying is it clearly affected Taye Diggs because he's come out subsequently and been like, yo, actually, if I was to get married again or whatever, I probably won't like marry a white girl because the heat was too much, right? And that's him. Like, but if you love your girl and if that was the person who was there for you, who was down with you while you was on your come up, then obviously then you celebrate that. I mean, I have no issue personally with any kind of interracial relationship, but you have to know.
It's
the laugh.
I know.
No, but the thing is, you have to be able to stand in that. You know what I mean, you have to like stand I mean, like it's people are people at the end of the day, but you have to like stand tall in that, stand strong in that.
I believe you, bro. I believe you, bro.
There's an equal opportunity.
Equal opportunities.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah, they were together for a decade, and she talked about like how he was a good and supporting husband in terms of like supporting their dreams. They support each other and all that kind of stuff. But she said that obviously the more, because I guess they met in theatre, I believe. So she said how when they were in theatre together, like they were just in a bubble. And love has some of you drunk, but they were in a bubble and whatnot. And I guess in that bubble, it feels like everyone's really accepting of everything. So I guess the race never really played a part in theatre. Obviously, when he's then gone on to start Hollywood and do films and whatnot, and he's doing interviews and whatever else, she feels like that's when he started to, feel away when he's got a black interviewer. I talk about his white wife. I guess that's when he started, his white Jewish wife. She mentions that.
But she ain't saying she had a problem with it. She's saying basically he couldn't.
He couldn't handle it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She is fine. Of course she was fine with it. She's Taye Diggs. She's fine with it. She's saying she was fine with it. For her, it's about the relationship or whatever, but she feels as though, the disappointment from his community put a strain on their relationship.
Yeah.
And I rate her for that because I'm really and truly, if you're going to love me white and all, you better love me white and all properly.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't be out here half-assing loving me, but when you're at home with me,
exactly,
you're cuddled up.
That's what I'm saying. And then it's like when you outside, you're just like, oh, nah, listen, if you love your girl, you love your girl. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those ones, but you have to be able to stand by whatever decision you choose to make on that. You know what I mean?
So, but she did say that she does empathize with him because obviously he'd be on the cover of Essence, Ebony, and all that stuff. And she said she's sure that he had his own, that it would have been a struggle for him anyway, and kind of he had his own thing to deal with that. But
is it fair that people question his or anybody's blackness because of their relationship choices? Is that actually fair?
I don't think it is.
I used to think it was when my younger days. Like last year, I'm joking on that shit. But, no, I used to think that because I just felt like if you're gonna be pro-black, you say black all the way. However, now I don't think it is because there are black people in interracial marriages that are doing a lot for the community, actively doing a lot for the community than people in all black family.
And that's been the case historically anyway.
This is it.
I think it's just the idea that if you are fully committed, right, to the cause, and you understand that a strong black nation comes from a strong black community, a strong black family. How do you have a strong black family if your missus or your husband is not black?
But it's not even that just being pro-black. I was talking to one of my friends, I won't even lie him up, but a dark-skinned man, you know what I'm trying to say, yeah? And it's it's not even about him being pro-black, just as being a black man. He feels under pressure because a lot of people judge and question his dating choices if he's not dating a black woman. It's nothing to do with being pro-black, just him going about his life and will question who he is or what he likes because he's with a fairer-skinned woman or because he's with a white girl.
That as well?
Yeah.
Basically, I feel like black men get it worse if they're with white women than black women get it
for
worse.
sure.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
I
Women,
mean-
if you're with a white woman, they'll champion you. They'll be like,
White
oh,
man,
go on,
yeah.
girl. But it's
Yeah.
the other way around. It's not
Yeah,
like that.
because you know what it is? I feel like whenever people look at a black woman who's with a white guy, it's always more of a like, oh, like you could never find what you wanted in a
Yeah.
brother, so
Exactly, yeah.
you made out the hood. I mean, but that's y'all's PR. You don't change that.
Just get
As a
the PR.
community, you don't to change that.
Well, I was even saying to him, I feel mad at you because there's still colorism coming into it. As a fair skinned, oh, I'm not supposed to use that word, is it? As a light skinned black man as well, I'm telling him that like, I don't feel the same pressure as you do. And it's because society will look at me. Half the people even think I'm mixed race anyway. For one.
Came up last week in your absence.
You get what I'm trying to say? What?
Yeah, came up last week. Sorry. Yeah.
Anyway. So half the people think I'm mixed race anyway. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like people wouldn't expect any different of me anyway.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at this yellow nigga. Anyway,
Of
like,
course
you
he's
get-
gonna do that.
Of course he's gonna do that. Look at him. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So I'm saying
Understand.
I ain't held to the same standards as you, man.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
dark skin, darker the berry, sweeter the juice brothers. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm saying like, he's are pissed. So I'm saying I'm out here doing what I want. And everybody, I'm good.
That's the thing, yeah. But you know what's so funny? Because sometimes when I see a black guy with a white girl, like I don't care. I don't care what anyone's doing, but there's a lot of Taye Diggs out there because I see this shame on their face
When
where
they
they're
see
trying to, they feel awkward. It's like, oh, brother, I love who
That's
you
what I'm
love.
saying. Like for me, like just like,
go
that's what I'm
ahead.
saying, like just like if you're gonna be with somebody outside of your race, just like stand on that.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? And it's just like you don't have to justify it to nobody. Like that's y'all's relationship.
This is
and if
it.
it works out, great. And if it doesn't work out, cool. Right? But if you're on some like, oh no, but like, yeah, she's white, but know what I mean, but trust me on the low, she eats fufu, so it's calm. Then it's like, nah, just like at the end of the day, like there's so many things outside of the color of our skin, like cultures are very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of like Mediterranean cultures that are very similar, like Latin American cultures that are very similar to like Caribbean and African cultures, for example. Like values are also important. You know what I mean? And if you find somebody with the right kind of values, then you'll be able to kind of like better navigate and manage like how you. Because my bigger thing is, you know, if you have like mixed race children, the children have to like understand the thing that makes them black. Because no one's gonna be looking at that child and be like, oh, is your mom English or is she Scottish or is she Welsh? Like they were like,
Just that white.
why is that like why are you not like white like I mean, and then obviously they have to like walk around being like, actually, you know what, like my heritage is Nigerian, Ghanaian, Sierra Leonean, like whatever, and my mother's this, and this is what makes me rooted in who I am, blah 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 blah, and walk into the world that way so that they can walk with their head held high. But yeah, it definitely, because I've seen interviews of Taye Diggs as well, and he comes off super uncomfortable even before they got divorced. He was like, yeah, like my girl's white, but like, nah, but it's, you know what I mean, because like we just met, and like it's the girl that I met at the time, and you're trying to justify.
Let's relax. Do you know who I rate? Omari Hardwick.
That's what I was gonna say.
You are not gonna shame Ghost
Nope.
about his wife.
Nah.
It was the time he went on Breakfast Club, he had a whole rant.
Yeah.
Disappointed that people would even bring it up to
Yeah.
him.
That's what I'm saying.
He said she was there for me when I had nothing. So how
Nothing.
dare you try? He rides hard for his wife, and I like that. I rate that.
That's what I'm saying.
He
And
be acting all shy.
Who's gonna say Ghost ain't black? That motherfucker was Ghost on power.
So what's the longest lasting interracial relationship you've been in?
What, me?
Yeah.
2
years? 3
No.
years?
I was with somebody Chinese for 5.
Ooh.
I mean, I was with somebody Chinese for 5. My current girl's Greek.
Yeah.
And we've been together for just under just under a year. So
But you
like,
get cut a bit more slack when it's like no the people, because people still feel how they feel, but you get cut a little bit more slack if you go like the Asian route or anything like that, innit?
Yeah, I think so.
Like,
you do.
It's less so, yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like when you go Greek, like when
like
you go
Dave
with
Chappelle's
people,
gad's Filipino.
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
He's the most pro-black man out there.
That's
No
what
one
I'm
ain't questioning
saying.
his
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it does depend on the Caucasian you go for. The Caucasian tribe you go for.
Caucasian.
That does
So
play,
so
yeah.
which ones are acceptable?
If you go British, you're just silly now. That's just, what do you want from people? Like, what are we doing here? Be fucking for real. What do you want from people? I feel like when you go British, Scottish,
Scandinavia.
Polish, Hun. Hun. Love to, of course, all these communities, absolutely. But I'm just saying what the streets are saying. It's word on road.
Word on road. That's what I'm saying. The streets talk though, man. You know what I mean? When the streets talk, you gotta listen.
There you
and
go.
I love that how you know what I mean, like that's a big thing here. Because in the US it's always like anybody could justify anything, yo. Like word on the streets is boom. Yeah. And if somebody says that, then it's like, yo, I can't the streets.
You gotta take it.
Like,
you gotta take it.
You gotta just kind of deal with it.
This is it. And I'm here to tell you word on road, and word on road is what I've said. I'm not gonna repeat it. But it's what I said.
Yeah, word on road.
But big up her, I like her, man. I think she's good vibes. I think that if you're in an interracial relationship,
you gotta stand on it.
Just own it, man.
Stand on it. Like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, and if you're not the kind of man that Taye Diggs is like the black, he's dark as hell. He's darker than me.
Do you know what though? Taye Diggs though. Now that I know all of this part, it is interesting because I've always found him, obviously the best man and stuff like that. He's one of the best good-looking in terms of the movie Hollywood guys.
He's a staple of black movies.
He is. He absolutely is.
You get me?
But when I see him outside of movies, just being
himself,
normal, I see that he feels like he's still paying for the sins that he's done, which aren't sins. Like, he comes across a bit corny sometimes. Like he does too much sometimes. So now that I know this little context, I get it now. Because it feels like he has to... I feel like maybe he's still in a place where he feels like he has to prove his blackness.
Yeah, overcompensate.
You don't have to, Taye Diggs. No. We love you. Love you, Morris Chestnut. We love all of you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I think there's a multitude of different ways to kind of, black isn't a monolith. Like, there's not like one way to be black. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and it's just, and the thing about all of us generally, we know like what levers to pull. You know what I mean? So like how I chat here will be very different from how I chat at work.
Yeah.
Will be very different to how I speak to my producers or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all very different. So yeah, man. Big up Taye Diggs, man.
Big up Taye Diggs.
I hope you feel good. I hope you feel good about yourself.
I hope you can get some.
I mean, like that's real talk. Like I hope you good for real.
Yes, and big up his ex-wife as well, man.
Yeah, man.
This is just minding her business, just trying to find love. You out here embarrassed by me. Stupidness. But anyways, we will find out what the theme is tomorrow, but that is all from me. Let's get into the People's Journal.
All right, people, welcome to the People's Journal, where I give you the news from an economics point of view. So the first thing I want to talk about, is Esther's friend, man. Kemi Badenoch.
No, Kemi, I was going to say Boris Johnson. No, Kemi, what's she done now?
Well, she's turned down an invitation to address the CBI, man. So they got... Huh?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, they got an annual conference, right? CBI is Confederation of British Industries, right? And they're like, I think the biggest lobby group in the country. But I believe it was last year. Was it last year? They got caught up in some scandals, right? Trigger warning. Some alleged sexual misconduct, including rape and things of that nature.
Kemi, why is your name in that?
No. She's staying away from it.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
All right, then.
it.
She's learning. Love that.
Yeah. So basically, this particular body, right? They were established in 1965, right? So they've been a serious, organization, institution, or whatever. But because of this, these incidents, these alleged allegations, I should say, groups like Aviva, John Lewis, NatWest, they pretty much parted ways from CBI. And they kind of wanted to rebuild their image, you know what I'm saying? And so they wanted Kemi Badenoch to address them at their annual conference.
Yeah.
And she pretty much said, nah, man, I ain't got time for that.
Good. It's not my business.
Yeah.
Totally. Don't be using her name. I mean, obviously, Kemi's got all sorts of issues, but rate
Yeah, she be getting the day she deserves.
I mean, but rate the fact that she's like, don't use me for that.
This is it.
Yeah, I need her to give this energy for some other parts of things. So. When they talk about system, whether the land is racist and not, I need her to say, do you know what? I'm not going to get involved with that. So
She ain't going to budge on that.
She's not going to budge on
I
that.
hope this is the beginning of new things for Kemi Badenoch.
Nah, I don't think so.
Of minding her business.
I think she's not. I think she's going to triple down on that for sure.
Yeah, but basically her excuse was that the diaries clashing and all that. The professional.
So she didn't even come out and be like, "Yo, just don't want to associate." She was just like, "No, it's a scheduling thing." Even though she's a minister, she can choose what she chooses.
Now she's got to warm up. She's got to work her way up to that level of no.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean? Because where we're coming from? We're coming from racism don't exist and stuff like that. So we've got to work our way up
That's what I'm
to where we
saying.
can say, I'm not involved.
I mean, if racism don't exist, then you should be like, "No, I'm calm, innit?"
This is true. But these professionals like to give professional reasons. You know what I'm
course.
saying? And to be fair to them, remember they got the autumn statement coming out?
Yeah.
The autumn statement, I should say. So yeah, she said she's busy with that.
Oh,
I'm
of
saying.
course.
So, it's a lot, man. And I guess when the autumn statement does come out, we'll be talking about it, guys.
Yeah.
So we'll see what she
has to say
did
there.
to you. Next thing I wanted to mention is apparently retail sales have fallen more than expected in September. And what they're saying is they believe it's because we had a hot September. I don't remember a hot September, Do we have a hot September?
I do because I'm living a cold October. I remember because I remember it was warm. It was really warm actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Because we had that was when we had like a sprinkle of the 20 somethings in the weekends.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
During the week, not so much. And we come here really early, so not so much.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember the weekends, it would get really, really warm.
Okay, fair
Not
enough.
warm enough for retail sales to go down. But
Yeah, because they're basically saying we don't need the autumn wear yet, innit? Like,
yeah, that is true though. Them cardigans are a bit too thick for
Yeah,
the weekends.
imagine summer shopping in September, October. Madness.
Yeah, it's crazy.
there you go. So they're basically saying that's one of the reasons, right? Also, there's this new, well, it's not new, but they're still up and coming, and then they're making big strides, and they're basically a self-conducting chip company, right?
Okay.
And they're called Pragmatic, right? And basically they've kind of put out that basically they're about to get an injection of £200 million. They're working with some Saudis, right? And basically they're looking to really make big strides in. Obviously, this is not financial advice. Don't go out there and invest or whatever.
Absolutely not.
But I'm just making it known that obviously this particular company called Pragmatic Semiconductor, which produces low-cost microchips for use in certain products such as packaging and clothing, and all that type of stuff, right? They're making big strides. And apparently a lot of their products are as thin as like human hair.
Oh, wow.
This is how,
Okay.
the advancements they're doing. And it seems like they're really doing well, and hence this particular company injecting that money into it. So yeah, that's just a little by the way thing I wanted to mention. But the last thing that I wanted to mention is apparently, again, we have to wait for the autumn statement to come out for it to be official. But apparently the government is considering extending its mortgage guarantee scheme.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. To kind of help first-time buyers. So yeah, it's understood that the Treasury is looking at making a scheme available for another year. So again, we have not got full confirmation. We have to wait for the autumn statement on 22nd of November. But yeah, it's looking like they're looking into it, man. We've already spoken we have spoken about the high interest rates and the Bank of England raising the base rate. Obviously not doing it this month or last month, I should say. But yeah, it's looking at obviously this is just a much bigger hurdle for first time buyers right now. You know what I mean? So Jeremy Hunt really wants to do something for the people out there, and I guess the Tories just want to get in power again.
Yeah.
And again, I don't see how they can do it. It's impossible. Let me not say impossible, but I don't think in history there's been this much of a gap that any party has called back the lead from. So we'll see what happens, man. But at least whilst they're in power, hopefully they do something anyway that all of us can kind of benefit from, as every party should do. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the People's Journal, man.
Thank you very much. We're getting to Motivation Monday.
Nah.
Interview?
Leave that, yes.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Okay, so guys, we're now entering our interview segment, right? And on Friday, we did tell you guys, well, I told you anyway, that I was very excited to have our guest today.
Oh.
Yes, very excited. I also bigged up Rebecca M. So she's, yes, you know Rebecca, of
Yeah,
course.
shout out to me. She's like little sis to me, man.
There you go.
Big up
You know what
Rebecca.
I'm saying?
Oh, your sister, that's nice.
This guy.
Your sister did quick.
Like a
obviously.
little
So
sister.
Rebecca is gonna
She's
be out of
married.
her-
No, she's in a very healthy situation. He's a great guy. God bless him.
There you go.
Not God bless him.
That's true though, man.
Can be Badenoch statement.
Bro, listen. That's not what that is, man. That's not what that is. Man.
No, but basically, Rebecca M, right? She's heard on the show that every now and again we may mention the name of the legendary revolutionary Pan-Africanist, who has been immortalized, and he goes by the name of Thomas Sankara. And she reached out to me the other day and was like, "Yo, I know you mentioned Thomas Sankara a couple times, right? I know like his son, right?"
Well, hold on.
That's what she said. Yeah.
So, couple things. So, I go by the name. So, musically, I go by Kashi Sankara. I'm not related to Thomas Sankara at all. I'm related to MKO Abiola.
Ah.
No way.
Yeah, so that's my pops.
Oh, I know
Okay.
someone I went to school with when I lived in Nigeria that's her dad as well.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you know what's so crazy? As I started a sentence, I started to remember history. I was already committed to it, so I just had to finish the sentence.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. But it's probably gonna be like that relation is definitely gonna be there. So I took on. So obviously, not obviously. So for those who don't know me, I'm Kashi Sankara musically. Released my EP last year, and it's one of those interesting journeys for me because I've always been quite like academic, very kind of corporate, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
But then obviously over COVID, everybody had bad time over COVID just to just do nothing. And I decided that I've always wanted to put music out. I've loved rap. A lot of my influences are like Nas, Talib Kweli, Common, that kind of stuff. And I've always wanted to kind of try my hand at it. And I fancy myself to be a bit of a poet as well. So put some music out. When I was thinking of a name, Kashi's is pretty obvious because my dad, the K in MKO stands for Kashimawo.
Okay.
And that's what I named the album, the EP after. And Kashimawo in Yoruba means let's wait and see. But when he was younger, he was called Kashi. And when he was younger, he was also in a band called Kashi Mambo Orchestra.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I obviously wasn't going to take the whole Kashi Mambo thing.
No.
You know what I mean? Because at least give my pops that.
Did you
But I thought to myself, one of the people that I most admire politically
Yeah.
is Thomas Sankara. And I wanted to use whatever platform I had to be able to kind of pay homage to these two incredible men that have kind of, inspired me massively. My father obviously being my dad, and obviously his contribution to Nigeria, and Thomas Sankara in co-opting, the Marxist language and basically being a student of critical theory, and using that to kind of talk about how exploitation is bad for the continent and what can actually be done. And in 4 years, implementing a lot of policies to kind of do stuff. It just kind of made sense. And released the EP May last year, and somehow man got 90,000 streams nearly.
Sick.
Which, I'm just, you're laughing because you're you don't even understand I don't even understand how that makes sense. In truth, I was how where are people finding this?
We're running with it.
You know what I mean? And it was mad because obviously you get the things of who's listening to you where.
Yeah.
And I'm how did this get to Brisbane, Australia?
wow.
You know what I mean? It's just mad. So it's shout out to everybody who's listened to it. Kashimo is out now, and if you can go check it out if you want to. But yeah, and it's just one of those things where I used it to kind of tell my story a little bit, showcase my kind of artistic flair. At my roots, at my core, I'm a poet. You know what I mean? And it's just and rap is poetry, essentially. And I try to kind of bring all of those things to bear.
All right.
I heard one word you just said.
You didn't hear a word?
I didn't hear one word. I'm focusing on what you're saying right now. Oh my gosh. Oh, I apologize.
No, it's calm. It's calm. It's calm.
Oh my goodness.
Bro, I was out here
What's
engaging.
going on?
I was engaging these guys, but
Do you know what? All right, you know what? Because this show, yeah.
Are you all right? Do you need a moment?
I do.
oh my god.
All right. So, all right.
I was going to ask though. So with the Sankara name, is that the only way you pay tribute to him, or is that anything? Does it show up anywhere else in your art?
I pay tribute to him through the name because in my head I was just thinking if people Googled Kashi Sankara, most likely a hit for Thomas Sankara will come up.
Yeah.
Right? If you Google Kashimawo, because in my head I was because I have a song called Kashimawo, and I'm very deliberate in not telling people what it means.
Yeah.
So if you Google it, you go onto my dad's Wikipedia page.
Okay.
Right? And then you learn about him that way.
Yeah. Okay. So you want him to learn about
That's
both.
what I'm saying. Learn about
who you
both those
admire.
people, and then obviously through that, then you
Yeah.
can kind of go through your own kind of journey of self-discovery.
But what was your family's reaction to? Because you're Nigerian.
Yeah.
You know how Nigerians are.
Yeah, of course.
So what was their No, 'cause I'm Nigerian too.
Yeah.
So I'm what was their response to your name? Because in our culture, we take
Your name's
having
a
your
bit-
father's name
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So
Yeah.
what was their response to your name being
kept,
somebody else.
I kept it hella low until I basically put it out. All right, I didn't tell anybody about it.
Why was that though?
What when I mean the thing
No,
is,
why did you keep it low?
oh, because okay, so I guess like a little bit of background. So and the thing is with my family in general, I've ticked every single box, right? So
Yeah.
I did undergraduate, masters, I got a job in the city. Like,
What did you study?
Politics, philosophy, and
Yes,
economics.
that's what they want. Yep,
You know what I
great.
mean? And I did, I bought my place.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing good. Right?
Yes.
So you tick all those boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and COVID was such where like none of my family are here, so
Yeah, okay.
pretty much do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And so initially when I was doing all this stuff, I was just gonna kind of just put it out under this name, but not really show my face and da da da.
Okay,
And then my
yeah.
producer was very much like, "Yo, like the world needs to like know who is responsible
Behind
for
this.
this stuff." So I only started telling members of my family after it came out, and I think, when I told them about it, I kind of couched it in terms of like paying homage to my father.
Yeah.
So if you look at the album art on the screen,
Yeah.
right, the image obviously is one of me when I was really young. The
Yeah.
other image is a kind of like it's a kind of etching of my father,
Okay.
and in
nice.
the middle is basically a representation of Olumorok,
Oh yeah.
right?
What is that?
Okay.
Olumorok is so in Abeokuta the famous kind of we have like this famous rock formation called Olumorok. So
Yeah.
in like the 1830s when the Egba people broke off from the Oyo Empire.
OLUMO.
yeah.
LUMO.
Yeah, Olumo, yeah. So when the Egba people broke off from the Oyo Empire, they basically migrated south, and they were led by a guy called Shodike, and he basically brought them
Lisabi.
south. Huh?
Lisabi. Is it Lisabi?
I don't know if that. I don't know that. I just know his name is. I don't know what his
Okay,
either first or surname is, but I just know that he is called Shodike. He got them down, and met this man along the way who basically brought them to this rock formation.
Yeah.
And then it was a rock formation in the middle of a forest, basically.
Okay, yeah.
And they basically like inhabited that, and they basically used that rock formation to kind of hide during the kind of intertribal wars and stuff, from like 1830 to 1833. And then from there, they basically then set up like the town that is Abeokuta today, right? So I put that there to kind of represent that. If you flip that over,
Yeah.
it looks like a map of Africa.
Okay.
Right, and that was and that design was created by my incredibly talented friend Annabelle. Shout out to her.
Big up Annabelle.
I mean, she's a phenomenal artist. And yeah, so I wanted to kind of, so a lot of this is just me paying homage.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things in there, like a lot like nuggets about like who my father is
Yeah.
throughout all of my music. But I'm not very like this is about my dad. It's
Yeah.
very much like if you know me, you know his story, you hear stuff, it'll all
Yeah.
kind of come together.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to ask something about your father?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I'm uneducated.
Yeah, cool.
So when you said that name, it meant something to them.
Yeah.
You mean damn thing to me.
It's calm. So
Yeah.
my father was Nigeria's first ever democratically elected president.
Okay.
He won the election in 1993, June 12th, 1993, in what would have been Nigeria's third republic. After the elections were held and he won, those elections were annulled. And then my father basically went into exile for a year, came back on the anniversary of the elections, declared himself president, and was arrested for treason.
Oh shit.
And then he was put in prison for 4 years, and then he died in detention. He died at a meeting with Susan Rice, who ended up becoming Barack Obama's national security advisor, along with other like diplomatic people. And they were basically in that meeting going to talk about Nigeria's transition from a military dictatorship to democracy. So my father is very much seen as like the father of democracy in Nigeria.
Yeah.
There's statues all over him all over the country. And he has like one of the best like rags to riches story you'll ever hear. Like he literally
Yeah.
came from like nothing.
Don't that make you want to get into politics yourself?
That's a very interesting question. I mean, the thing is, it wouldn't be by design. I'm the kind of person where I'm generally open to anything, for the
Yep.
most part.
No, I was just reading something.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure you
the yup came in at a good time. But it wouldn't necessarily be by design. At the moment, I'm quite comfortable with where my career is going. I love the fact that I'm exploring, like, becoming an artist and kind of like, working on releasing a new project. And you know what I mean, I love performing. I've done like little shows across the city. and I love the kind of feedback, especially because nobody knows who I am, right? So like when you step on stage and then you get that immediate, because if you're trash on stage, like they will tell people will tell
let
you.
you know.
You know what I mean? And the one thing as well, because my song Kashi Sankara, like when I'm performing it, like, and they're hearing it for the first time and they're basically saying it back to me is mad. Like that is one of those things that because I wrote that song deliberately because I wanted to basically like ensure that people could actually remember my father's name.
Yeah, that's lit.
So yeah, that's basically some context background.
Can I say something quickly?
We've really done you an injustice, you know.
Yes,
'cause
we
I
have.
would flipping love
We're
to
gonna-
just deep dive into everything that is actually you.
Oh, yeah?
We will, though, Brent. We will. It's not too late.
All right.
100%,
Yeah.
And, but I just want to give some context. What's going on, basically? Because this show, is very interactive. We have a very interactive chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, we do.
I did.
And-
Should have attention to
They've been
that.
drooling.
No,
Drooling.
because obviously transparency. You know what I'm saying? We have been transparent about other things, right? And basically, nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, calm.
But basically, of course, via your friend,
Why are you
sister,
throwing under the bus, mate? This is you.
there
This
needs to
is
be
not
20
your-
buses.
This is not it's not you.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Basically, obviously, we were under the impression, at least from what Rebecca said to me, is that you were the son of Thomas Sankara, right? And obviously, again, I've looked up to Thomas Sankara for the longest while.
Yeah.
You know his story,
Yeah, of
and you look up
course.
to him too, right?
Yeah, facts.
But I've always known him to have a wife and 2 kids.
Sorry, wait a minute. Rebecca is sitting there to write my bad. Girl, this is worse than my bad.
Thank you.
My bad.
Thank you. And Rebecca, you don't need to call now. But anyway, right? So I'm thinking, so I was trying, remember I messaged you and I said to you, is there any questions you don't want me to ask, right?
No,
No,
pick it up.
no.
It's Rebecca. She's not allowed.
Because, and the reason why I asked it, because obviously I didn't want to be insensitive in any type of way, right?
Yeah.
And because I'm aware, at least for my, hold on one second, please.
1 second,
Right?
Rebecca. You plead your case in a
I'm
minute.
aware that obviously Thomas Sankara had a wife and 2 kids. So I didn't want to be asking certain questions if it's not, you know what I'm saying? You know, you get what I'm trying to
of course,
get
of
at.
course.
Could be
Yeah, I
triggering
mean,
it
but-
like that.
But like Brent's rightly said here, right? Now that I know, obviously, you're the son of MK or
That's
Abiola.
This is even
different.
greater.
That's
This
This is even
different.
this
greater.
is also just as powerful because, again, you've given a brief description of who MKO
Yeah.
was, but there's far more to it, right? And I'm so glad that at least we're here because obviously Esther would know who MKO is. I obviously know who he is, right? So we definitely going to deep dive into that. But before we do, Rebecca,
What have you got to say for yourself?
Rebecca,
What have you got to say for yourself?
yeah,
Making
yeah.
us look incompetent for this lovely young
I hope
man.
you're planning to apologize in 5 different languages. Go on.
My bad.
Listen, you know what it is. You know what it is as well. You know what it is.
Give her a chance.
Yeah, no, you know what it is. It's like
Okay. Do you know what it is? I'm not first of all I don't know which name to use. I don't know if to use the name I know yours. Okay, I've known Kashi basically since I was like a kid, so he's definitely he's like an additional brother to me.
Worse.
However,
It's worse, Rebecca.
I was about to say, however, most of the time when Kashi would come over, I would just spend most of the time roasting him and stuff like that. I never really got into
So you wanted TDA to do your roasting. That's what you wanted today.
No. But it's only recently where I'm learning really well and truly about like his background and things like that. I don't know why.
He's
I
like the legend.
heard the Sankara and obviously I know about his what happened with his father and stuff like that. And I put those two together.
the stories are
My
kind of
bad.
similar. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
My friend, hang up.
No, listen, sorry. No, you're good. No. Back you're good, honestly. But the thing is, like, so I can see where the confusion comes from because obviously, like, my father was, you know what I mean? Because it didn't even cross my mind that it was like, yo, that.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, you know what I mean? Like, my father was taken from me. He was a very
Yeah,
big
of course.
deal. All that other stuff, and I'm not really the type of person that talks about that generally. I've only started
Exactly. And I'm not one to ask.
exactly.
Now,
So
girl,
like,
don't piggyback off his point. Let the man speak.
You've known him since you were a kid.
no, that's what I'm saying. But like, you don't understand though. Like, obviously, like, it's one of those things where for me, like, even talking about my pops is a very recent aberration for me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's like one of those ones where like people are like, oh my God, your dad's this or whatever. That's so cool. And I'm like, yo, but my dad died. So like, that's
Yeah.
also kind of messed up. Right. And it's obviously like, I've come to learn that I can kind of embrace how people react to my pops. Bro,
Yeah.
like I was in Lagos literally for a week. Came back yesterday. On Monday and Tuesday, the second people realized who I was, I had grown men crying to me, talking about what my dad meant to them.
Yeah.
Like grown African men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were just like, you know, in tears, basically talking like, look, if your father was here, things would be different. Like he was an I'll be on a plane somewhere. Like I have on my phone like a picture of like me and my dad when like, you know, he was holding me as a kid.
That's so
See what I'm
sweet.
saying?
Right? And I'm just like on my phone on the train, and somebody be like, "Yo, like, are you?" And they'll look at that, and they'll look at me, and they'll look at that, and they'll be like, "Yo, like, what's your name?" And I'll be like, I'll tell them, and I'll be like, "What's your surname?" I'm like, Abiola. Where are
They
you
put two
from?
together, yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, Abeokuta." Wait, are you related to? I'm like, "Yes." Is it the same? Yes. How? He's my dad. And then it's like a story, like,
yeah.
and it's literally it happens to me regularly, like
Yeah.
weekly. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's lit.
You know the thing. The only thing that I find a bit annoying, is just that I would have invited you same way, but
Yeah.
on the day that we were talking about Nigeria,
Yeah.
and then we would have done the whole thing and gone into the history of
Yeah,
MKO.
we can do that as well. Because I
Okay,
can talk
cool.
about Sankara as well.
Okay, cool. But I want us to talk about MKO though.
Yeah, let's do that.
You know what I'm saying? Because again,
Black one.
Rebecca, you alright?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing to myself because you really did the whole thing about Burkina Faso. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Honestly, Becky's calm.
Yeah, saying that, but she's not. 2 weeks.
No, they're
Imani was
gonna
waiting
take
for
away
this.
my moderator badge.
Oh yeah. I'm just, wait, did she got a wrench? Okay, yeah, that's definitely good.
It's under review now.
It's on the review.
The review has been had. Anyway, have a great morning, Rebecca.
Oh, the one who used it.
No, I deserve a great morning. Please, the interview is still going well.
Alright, cool. Yes, exactly.
You're not-
Exactly.
Bye, guys.
Alright, take care.
Bye.
Alright, so yeah, what was I gonna say now? You was in the middle of saying something.
Talking about like, so you basically said we can still have a conversation about.
Yes, exactly. Because like, I mean, to me, yeah, I think my obviously, you know, age group and all that type of stuff. My first hearing about MKO was, of course, what you mentioned about 1993 elections. I went to Nigeria first time in '94, and I believe my uncle was driving us around, and he was like, "Oh, this is MKO's residence."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all those things that you meant, this is why I'm feeling like, oh man, I wish, you know, we started with just that, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
of
we
course.
can do it again.
Yeah, exactly. But like you're seeing, you're obviously seeing the impact of his presence, right? And then when I started to learn more about MKO and how he had links to, should I say links? Yeah, but even that like you said, he came from nothing, right? And I remember seeing a picture of, I believe it was him, Babangida, Obasanjo, and they all went to the same school.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, the history runs so deep in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
And the links, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you did the history and you saw that, yeah, what sense of pride and
Yeah,
how do you
for
feel
sure.
about that?
Because like, you know, like him, my dad, Obasanjo, Wole Soyinka.
Yeah, see?
You know what I mean? Like, so Wole Soyinka was the first sub-Saharan African to win the Nobel Laureate Prize in 1986. 85,
The
86,
legend, man.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they all grew up in the same area.
Yeah.
Right? So, Bagura is where they all came from. And they all went to the same school, I believe. And my dad obviously was incredibly poor, couldn't afford to do a lot. I couldn't afford anything at all, actually. They used to basically say, the joke around town was like, we're poor, but we're not Kashi poor. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, you know, but the thing about him was he was somebody who was incredibly bright and was able to use the level of intelligence God blessed him with to get himself a Western Region scholarship. That Western Region scholarship basically changed the trajectory of his life. You know what I mean? That's the thing that literally got him out the hood. Because without that, he would have had no platform to showcase his greatness. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that we can all kind of like take to heart, because there are a lot of people who want to be able to do stuff, and you can't really do stuff if you don't have the platform to showcase what you can actually
Yeah.
do. And that was kind of the thing. That's the reason why I did my music project as well, because, you know, I've been rapping since I was 13 years old, right? And I remember like my cousins in Brooklyn would like put me on like certain musicians, and like I remember hearing Talib Kweli for the first time and being like, "Yo, that's the kind of rapper I want to be like." and then like kind of going through that journey to kind of like learn how to do it properly. You know what I mean? Be that lyrical writer, but I never had the opportunity to ever put music out, right? Until obviously now it's easy. Anybody can be an independent artist. You can just get a distribution thing on United Masters or whatever and put music out. But before I had no idea how to do that, and I decided to kind of, because of the whole like Nigerian pressure, like you got to do good in school. So I did good in school. I got a job, and I mean, a lot of the time when you get a job is to kind of make sure your parents are proud, right? So
Yeah.
you want to tell. So for me, it was about making sure that Mom C could go tell her friends that her son's.
And my son is doing this and
Know what I
doing that.
mean?
Yeah, brag to her friends.
Literally, because whenever I would move jobs or whatever, Mom like text me the title so I can go to church, basically.
And
You know what I mean, and then
your
obviously
testimony.
go and do testimony in church. Facts. I remember when I became vice president for the first time, bro. She was like, she went crazy. You know what I mean? So I did all of those things, and I was like, look, you know,
You just told her vice president. She's thinking of a country.
Listen, you don't kind of
Give him the information. Said, "I'll be
Yeah,
a
he-
vice
look,
president."
He's the
now.
one that they come to make decisions.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. But I remember like the first time I made VP at my old firm, like she was like super hyped. You know what I mean? And then like, you know what I mean? But I was just thought to myself, I've never really done anything for myself, and the only thing I've ever really wanted to do is music. So I went traveling in Colombia just before lockdown. And I ended up in Medellin, and I was like, and in Medellin, you hear a lot of house music, you hear a lot of reggaeton.
Yeah.
But then I heard hip hop blasting out of this building, and I was like, yo. So I walk in, then I see a guy on the decks, I see another dude on the mic, and I just kind of go up to him like, yo, can I spin on the mic? And I gives me the mic, spit a 16, and everyone was like, yo, like, what's your name? Where are you from? Like, who you signed to? Where can we hear more? And I'm like, yo, I'm just a dude who raps for fun. Like, this is not really, like, I'm just, because whenever I go traveling, I just kind of find an open mic, spit a few bars there, and then I kind of go back to my life effectively. You know what I mean? So it was that experience I was like, maybe I could, because then I ended up rapping live on radio, but I didn't realize. And everybody was like
okay.
calling in, like, yo, who is this guy? Like, I mean, like, where can we hear more? And I'm like, yo, I don't have anything. I'm just like a regular guy.
Yeah.
So I written a song called Relate. And I just thought, okay, well, if I record that and put that out there, then I won't have to deal with the embarrassment if anybody's like, yo, what you got? Like, yo, I got this song. So I found a producer, recorded Relate, and he was like, dude, you need to like make this a project or whatever. Like, think about an EP. And I was like, what's an EP? It's like between 4 and 6 songs. So I was like, I think I got that. So I put them songs together. And we created this, my first ever debut, which was awesome. And people seem to like rock with it when they listen to it. You know what I mean? It's not really in keeping with the kind of music that's out now, but one of the things that I quite like is the fact that I can be quite versatile in my style, right? I can be thematically consistent, but my delivery can be very versatile. So I can rap and trap, drill, obviously boom bap, whatever, just in various different styles, right? But with content that I hope really connects with people. And because of the journey that I was going on at the time, where I was just like, right, so I come from this incredible legacy that my father's basically like, you know, laid down, which I'm incredibly proud of, right? But then how do I navigate myself through the world? And that was very tricky. And that's part of the reason why for the longest time I didn't really talk about my pops, like to anybody, until super recently, like literally within the last like almost like 2 years, where I'm like, oh, actually, by the way, like this is who my pops was. This is what his contribution was. This is how his passing has affected me. This is what I'm actually trying to do with my life, blah, 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 blah. And to also find out that my father was like super musical as well was amazing, you know? Because he also went by Kashi when he was younger, which is, you know what I mean? So he used to go, so people called him Kashi.
That's sweet.
And he had a Kashi Mambo orchestra thing, and he would go and like perform at like weddings and funerals and birthdays and events and stuff, because that was the only way that he would actually eat.
Okay.
I mean, he would make enough money, and like he would like to perform at these things because, you know, Nigerians, whenever there's a party, there's food.
Oh, always.
You know what I mean?
Abundance.
You know what I mean? An abundance of food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's the thing. So you want to be able to perform it, and that was a kickstart. You know what I mean? So you obviously had a hustler's mentality back then, for real.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when your dad passed away?
11.
So did you grow up like being taught about him? 'Cause I know you said 2 years ago was when you, what was that? When you started?
When I started being able to share it, but like, I mean, I
Okay.
obviously knew, I mean, I understood my father's impact super young.
Okay,
Like,
good.
I would
Okay.
literally like, it would be one of those things where like, I I remember how people would react to me as a child.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I remember being with my dad and seeing how people would react to my dad. I remember like he would stand and there would be like a sea of people around him, and if I was with him and just holding his hand, like you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was very much a man of the people, somebody that the people used to believe that if they just touched my father, that was enough for them to get blessings.
Not the hem of his agbada.
Like there's a song, there's a song by King Sunny Ade that translates to, I want you to use your hands to touch me so I can become rich. Like mo fe fi owo Lara call me Lara. I'm gonna like my Yoruba is trash, by the way. King Dolo. So like I want you to use your hands to touch me so I can become rich. Like that was a song that people used to sing. Like it was
For coming. So I was thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's just one of those where and especially now where he's been dead for 25 years and stuff, like the second I walk into anywhere and people realize who I'm related to, like it's a story, it's praise, it's grief, it's anguish.
So,
know what I mean?
Obviously, you said you've only been comfortable talking about him for like the past couple of years, and you said that you're not necessarily making circular music and stuff, but you would want success in your endeavors in your music career,
Of course, yeah,
to get out to as many
Of course,
eyes and ears as possible. That's obviously the goal, innit?
Yeah.
So, how would you feel about like using your father as a platform for your music, like going out as
His son.
his son, because that's gonna get you the most, especially in certain regions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, how would you feel about that? Because it's not like you're entitled to do that. That's your legacy. He's left down to you. Like you are who you are, innit?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But but the thing is, I find that really uncomfortable though, because it's like, because my father's legacy stands on itself, by itself, right? So I'm happy to talk about my father as who he was. I can talk about the connection to the music if I'm asked. But for me to actively be out there and be like, yo, by the way, like my pops is da-da-da-da-da, like...
I'm saying like lead with it, like run with it, like make that the whole campaign. Because at the end of the day...
Like the Cooties do.
Yeah, because you know what it is? People
Not the Cooties, by the way.
No, people get inheritance, all this stuff, and when you have children and you work and you do for them, like more time you're working so your children can have. You know that you're not going to be here one day. You want to make the best for them, whatever. Like it's my son's God-given right to tell people I'm Margaret's son, and if however that benefits him is how it benefits him. That's on him. That ain't got nothing to do with me, especially not me not being here. So I wouldn't want him to feel any way about doing that. I get where you want to make your own way and all these kind of things, but this is the whole point of this is life, isn't it? You know what I'm saying?
No, that's powerful, because you know what it is, right? I always think to myself, like I have love still for my pops, right? That if I ever talk about him, generally I talk about him. And then my music is something like tangential, but it's like incidental to that. Like, so it's not like the main point of that conversation, because I want to make sure that like people know him, remember him, think about him, that kind of thing, and like just understand his contribution. But what I do tend to do though is I sometimes just try to leave little nuggets in my music. You know what I mean? Like that relate specifically to him. So there's like one song that I'm working on where I've tried to sample that song where like that's the song I made reference to, just trying to get like the dude to actually clear the thing so I can actually put it out. You know what I mean? But like it's just stuff like that I hope. But maybe I need to kind of get over that and just kind of leave it that a bit more. So you're probably right. Yeah.
I'm so sorry I've got to go.
No, it's cool.
It was lovely to meet you.
Yeah, and you as well. Thank you very
Alright,
much for like allowing me to like be part of this. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And I know like it's obviously a you thing, but like obviously like y'all being here, you could have been like, nah.
Me think.
No, all of you guys think. This is your studio.
No, this is our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is dope,
And
though.
to be honest, from the jump, I think I've liked you the most. Yeah. You came in smelling good. You sat down, you got involved in the political talk. You were there going back and forth with Wooden Road. Like you knew the gist too. You were saying ting a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This is the thing. Like I'm like, you know, I'm savvy. You know what I mean?
Man. Love it.
Okay.
It's later.
Obviously, like you said, you spoke about your father's like humble beginnings, right? Because again, I know about your father. I guess that'd be on a family, and I was a huge family and powerful, influential family to this day, right? But obviously, you're mentioning the humble beginnings. So did it kind of start with him? Because I know he was the head of the family. I know his younger brother now who's the head.
Oh yeah, like my my uncle Beshi passed away a couple years ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, did that, I guess, powerful family start with him,
Yeah.
or was it? Oh,
No,
okay.
basically, like, so up until my father, like, on that side of the family, we were cocoa farmers,
Okay.
right? We were cocoa farmers. My grandfather, my dad's dad, was the person that was responsible for basically driving everybody's cocoa produce to the ports, getting the money, splitting it amongst everybody.
Wow.
So we were, so it was never a thing. And again, like I said, like, it was the platform my father had with an education to be able to kind of like progress himself in the way that he did. And then obviously he came back at a time where there was a move. I think this was like kind of like, I'm trying to think, this was like post-independence. So there was a move where, you know, African governments wanted like a lot of their businesses to be owned by indigenous people, right? To be partnered by indigenous people as well. So my father was the most senior person at the company that he was working at the time and was able to get ownership equity in that company. And obviously with his intelligence was able to take that equity and basically build an empire with it. So, and that's part of the thing where like, and I think sometimes, and a lot of the reason why like I kind of write, because I think about my father's story a lot. And, you know, I think sometimes with black people in general, we're kind of like told that there's a certain way to be black and a certain way to kind of express blackness. So you can only be black or whatever if you're on road, if you're doing this or whatever, you got to come hard. Like, nah, you can also be black. Like I am incredibly proud to be black. But I'm in corporate situations all the time. I present in front of boards all the time. Like I do those kind of things and that doesn't diminish from my blackness at all. Of
course.
And I got there because I was able to get a really good education and leverage that education to be able to get like jobs that's put me in positions where I can do stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and it's one of those things where because of that, I didn't come into music as a struggling artist. Like as an artist, I had to make it because if this was like if this works, cool. And if not, then it's calm, right? And that's the thing. So I'm trying to basically showcase that there's a lot more that we can do to kind of like, I don't know, lift up like the black experience outside of just like, it's either this way or that way. You're either playing ball or you're on road. Or if you're not doing that, then you're a rapper. Or in order for you to be a rapper, you need to be on road or whatever to make the money so you can actually fund your projects or whatever so you can then blow up in the right way. There's other ways to do stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, using hopefully my story as an example of that. And obviously I have the story within the context of who my father was as well.
Yeah. One question I want to ask you is, I believe your father was the Out Ere of Oyo. Yeah. So, for those who don't know, I'm
gonna say so. The Out Ere on a Kankanfo is it's like the highest civilian order title that you can get in Yoruba land. So within the Yoruba breakdown is this, right? So you have the Oni of Ife, who is the spiritual king of all the Yoruba people, and then you have like the Alaafin of Oyo, who is the administrative king, right? So the Oni of Ife basically represents like the god Oduduwa himself, like in physical form. The administrative king is basically like the administrative ruler, and then you have the Are on Okankanfo, which is basically like the general of all the Yoruba people, right? And I think up until my dad, in the history of the Yoruba people, my dad was the 7th Are basically named. And typically they die in service defending the Yoruba people, and my father obviously died in that way. So, I mean, like, it's all very poetic, it's all very beautiful, it's all very sad, but we are where we are.
Because I was going to ask you about that, like, because obviously, you know, there will be some type of, what's the word, superstitions around that particular post. Because like you just said, even Ladoke Akintola, before him, was killed during in the Civil War, right? Then, obviously, your father took the post. Obviously, we've got Gani Adams now. God willing, nothing happens to him, of course.
Exactly,
But like you said, historically, that particular position, which is a highly respected position in Yoruba land, right? Do you feel like there is some superstition around it, or do you just feel as though it's just the times and it's kind of what we kind of sign up for?
I think sometimes, like I think I don't want, because it's the customs that we have. There are reasons why those customs exist, right? And we have to respect that. You know what I mean? So there's a reason why, because obviously if you're going to be a general basically fighting in defense of your people, then you're more likely than not going to be in a position where something bad happens to you. You know what I mean? And, you know, my father fought significantly. Like, he fought for his mandate. He fought to make sure that he was recognized as the legitimate leader, the legitimate winner of the election. up until for the first 25 years after the election, they used to call my father the presumed winner of the election. And then after that, they called him the de facto winner.
Yeah.
And that presumed winner used to piss me off because he did win the election. Y'all just annulled it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it was as recent as
it was
a couple of years
2018.
ago. Yeah,
So 2018.
Yeah.
I went to Abuja to go and just and watch the president kind of like honor him in that way, which was very beautiful for our family.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those where like those customs come from somewhere. So I'm reluctant to kind of call those superstitions because you're supposed to be somebody that fights in defense for, right? And hopefully, like, God willing, the current Area on Okonkwo lives an incredibly long life. But my father obviously was called to the hill at a time where Nigeria was under a lot of transition and stuff. And we all know how that situation ended, but hopefully it's not in vain.
Yeah. What do you feel about that role? Because obviously, like you said, right, back in the days anyway, the Area was like the post, like you said, it's like the military leader, like the biggest, the highest role, right? But today it takes on a much more of a political position and role, so to speak. Do you feel like that role is still important, or has it become redundant, seeing as now there's less emphasis on Yoruba and Igbo, Biafra, and more so on Nigeria as a whole?
Not necessarily. Thank you, man. Not necessarily. I think it's one of those things where, like, you have this guy called like Sunday Igboho, right? Who's basically leading a Yoruba separatist movement, right? You have that, I don't remember the name of the IPOP guy, but that still is very much happening. You had the Fulani herdsman, issue. Basically, you have like Fulani herdsmen from the north of Nigeria, basically like migrating south with all their cattle because deforestation and climate change is basically eroding away like a lot of the natural areas where their cattle would graze. So they're having to move further and further south. And then them moving further and further south is causing a lot of destabilization in the country. And you're encroaching on people's land. What people don't understand about politics more broadly is, the democratic principle that we all kind of, like a lot of Western societies are built on, is built off of land rights. Right, so it's built on the capacity to protect land ownership, right? So when you have systems in place with the Fulani herdsmen who are actively going and encroaching on other people's land, that is an actual threat towards democracy, right? And that is being done by a group of people who identify from a specific tribe, the Fulanis, right? As they migrate south. So I think there's always going to be issues where an area on Okonkwo will probably be required, but I think gone are the days where you're gonna have to kind of like fight some kind of battle. You're gonna have to utilize some kind of political solution, and in finding political solutions, hopefully like they'll be able to live longer, as opposed to actively putting themselves in harm's way where they end up having to lose their life as a result.
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously all respect to Gani Adams, right? But I think somebody like Sunday Igboho, who speaks out, but also is on the front line. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy, we spoke about him last week because he recently got released from Benin, right? I think it was in, he was in Benin. And so basically his case has been settled now. So he got released and I believe he's flown to Germany with his family. But like Kashi was basically saying, they kept infringing on Yoruba land. They were killing people. They were raping people, trigger warning guys. You know what I'm saying? And the Nigerian government weren't doing anything. And obviously, I suspect, and like many others as well, because Buhari is also Fulani, there'll be less, you know what I'm saying? There'll be less of him talking about these particular people because it's from the same tribe. And I guess he kind of understands or identifies with that way of life where you think you could just graze wherever the hell you think.
Yeah, because the Fulani people, they're big on like, it's like, them ones where like you have people who are like, oh, I've got like 100 cows, so like I've got bank because look at my cows, right? That's like the cows are like a sign of wealth. Right, for these people, so because of that, it's like if they need to graze, they have to graze, because otherwise that's like impacting my wealth, right? So whereas they've had a whole society that's based around like the number of cows or whatever to showcase wealth, a lot of the world has basically developed to be like the assets that I own, the land that I own is how I showcase my wealth, and if you're encroaching on my land, I have the right to defend myself. But it's a very tricky situation. The way that the government also handled the Sunny Igboho thing was super heavy-handed, and they created they've almost kind of made him a martyr in a way, because they've, you know, tried to like arrest him illegally, detain him for no reason. Everybody's allowed the right to protest, right? Same thing that they're doing with the IPOP guy. I can't think of his name, and I don't want to be disrespectful in that regard.
I'm trying to remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
The one that flew to Kenya, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I want to say like Namdi something, but I'm not
Nnamdi
sure.
Kanu.
There we go.
That's it.
Right? So like those are the kind of things that, like, you know, there has to be a response in some way. And if you're heavy-handed in a situation, then you're gonna basically force people into a corner. I mean, people always think these like terrorist groups just emerge from nowhere, but they don't. They come. I think a friend of mine told me once that like violence is the language of the oppressed, and when people feel oppressed, and they lash out in a specific way, and you can't help how they lash out, and that's obviously how like the Hamas attack on, you know, on Israel's happened and stuff, and like so many other instances of like guerrilla tactics and like terrorist activities happening, as a way to kind of respond against, like, you know, a perceived oppression in that regard. But no, I think the Ares, they definitely have a role to play in Nigerian society, like, because the way that it works is you basically have different kings for different areas of, you know, Yoruba kingdoms. That's part of the reason why everybody always makes fun of African, because everybody's a king, but it's not really. It's not like it's like that, but it's not like that, because every area, every single people will have a king, and then their kings will give them sub kings to basically help rule, because the kings are basically there to rule over a specific part of an area, so that it's basically like breaking up things to make it easier to rule, if that makes sense. And if we're still gonna enforce that, right? I mean, I remember when I was leaving, one of the governors of Nigeria sent a delegation of like royal rulers to speak to President Tinubu about an issue that he was having at home. So they basically still have a role to play. I mean, so it's just, yeah, I think it's powerful, and I think it's a beautiful continuation of heritage and legacy.
How do you feel about Nigeria's existence as a whole?
Oh, wow.
I'll be a bit more specific. I remember I was telling the guys before, I was at work one time, and one uncle came in, he saw me in the staff room, right? And he was like, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Nigeria."
Like, where?
He said,
Yeah.
and the way he insulted Nigeria, that failed state, that. I was like, am I meant? Should I be reacting right now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, where are you from? And he was like, I'm from, what do you say? Oduduwa Nation.
Oduduwa
Nation.
Nation. Yeah,
right?
I understand what you're saying.
And then I said, so am I.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand what he's saying. I understand what he means by that. I think you know what it is. So Obafemi Awolowo basically said,
the legend.
Yeah, the legend. He is an absolute king himself. So Obafemi Awolowo was one of the kind of like fighters of the independence movement from Nigeria.
Yeah.
And he said that Nigeria is nothing more than a geographical expression, right? Basically, like, we are basically like situated within a specific border called Nigeria, but we are not Nigerian as a whole. And think about it, right? 200 million people, nearly 500 different languages spoken.
Yep.
Right? It's incredibly hard to kind of create an amalgamation of a people, right? Because language, culture, and everything else, values are different. We have 60% of the population that are Muslim, 40% that are Christian, roughly. So many different languages spoken, so one person can't speak in the whole entire country hear it, right? So it makes it very difficult for us to come together as one. But I think there is beauty in our diversity. There's beauty in the fact that we all effectively bring something unique that, as a mosaic, means we are a Nigeria, a country, right? But to say that we're Duduwa in and of itself, because Yoruba, the term Yoruba is not something that really exists, right? Like, what is it to be Yoruba?
Yeah.
No, you're not Yoruba. You are Egba. You are Oyo. You're this. You're that. So that in and of itself. So it's like, where do we want to draw that line?
I think even though we're separate, let me not say separate, but there are different groups within Yoruba. We all trace our lineage back to Oduduwa.
Oduduwa,
right?
yeah.
And we all kind of respect, like you said earlier, Oni as the number one king, this, that, and the third, right? So even, like you said before, you may see the king of Benin, or Oba of Benin, or of Igbaland, for example, all giving that respect to him. So I think there's that understanding that we are one there, right? So I don't necessarily think we need to be
It's super,
factitious like that. You know what I'm saying?
And it's too many.
100%.
That's what I'm saying. There's too many. Like what? Like how you gonna like if you basically try to break up Nigeria into like the 300 different tribes or whatever, like that's not gonna be a country at all.
Yeah.
And the reality is, they're gonna have to, like have a lot of cooperation.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, even though we have slight differences, different dialects here, there, and there, we are still one people, right?
Yeah.
As Yoruba people.
Yeah.
So I think, and when you see that we are, I guess, I would say we're under attack from the government as a whole, well, at least under the Buhari administration, and even from the Fullers coming here, there, all over the place, right? Don't you think it kind of would make sense for us to kind of do for ourselves and have our own self-determination, potentially? Because especially when you consider how much the Yoruba people and the Igbo people contribute to Nigeria as a whole.
Oh, of course. I think basically all of that basically says there is a justification for decentralizing power, right? So at the moment, a lot of Nigeria's let's just be completely frank about it. Government activity basically drives economic activity, right? Which is part of the reason why you have a lot of concentration of power in the center, right? And then everything gets dispersed,
Yep.
right? But ultimately, to give people a greater sense of self-determination, I think it's important to kind of devolve those things and basically have the central government or the federal government acting as some kind of overseer. So in Singapore and places like China, they have concept plans and master plans, right? So they have master plans, which is like 100 years of planning that they basically, so at 100 years, we're going to do this, and this. And they break that down into 10-year chunks, right? So your master plan, your concept plans, right? So what the federal government could do is basically adopt that kind of model where they'll be responsible for developing a master plan for the country. So basically, we intend to create like a more kind of agricultural like hub in the north. We'll have like Lagos be like the economic powerhouse. We'll develop like a refinery oil sector in this particular place. We can create a bread basket here. We can do that. And then basically 10-year increments as to how we achieve those things. Right? And that's obviously helped spur on the progress that you see in places like Singapore, because Singapore was swampland before. Like, there was nothing really there. And then Lee Kuan Yew, over 31 years, basically implemented a ton of policies to safeguard the future of Singapore. And Singapore is now the thriving hub that you see today. Much easier to do, obviously, in a city-state, right? But again, that is an example that can be taken to basically say, like, look, that works. China as well. Huge, and obviously they're going through their like problems at the moment, but I think for them they're not devolving enough. Everything is too concentrated. But you know what I mean? Like those are the examples that Nigeria could potentially have, where you basically just give like aspects of, okay, so you said like the Yoruba people, what is in Yoruba land that could actually be beneficial for the whole, right? And how do we basically like create like economic paradigms to enable the future growth when you add the Yoruba land to the Igbo land to the Disi land to the Dadi land and all of it. Because, we have a $500 billion economy to service 200 million people, but that 200 million people is going to become 500 million people in the next, 30 years. So
The issue is, though, I think, is because the tribes are so different, especially, they're so different. What you may see as economic progress, somebody will see as robbing of their identity. You know what I'm saying? And so this is why I kind of struggle to kind of see us progressing into the future happy together. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like some of the success you're speaking about, especially as you mentioned China, requires people to come in and kind of have a communistic approach, right?
Okay.
Because you've kind of got to take away people's freedoms to some
yeah,
some
I know,
extent.
but China's also a different case though, because 85% of Chinese people are Han Chinese, right?
Okay.
So they all speak the same language, identify with the same values, right? So it's much easier to kind of propagate a
There
system
you go,
of
yeah.
like that,
Yep.
right? Because it's it's unified. India is probably more in keeping with us, right? Because India is just as diverse as Nigeria, but they got 1.some billion people.
Yeah.
Right? They speak just as many different languages, right? They have just as many issues, but so I think it's going to be difficult. You need to be able to have a capacity where you're able to build cooperation between different peoples, right? So the question is, how do you facilitate that? And you don't facilitate that by effectively having one group enforced onto other groups, because the resentment will just ensure that nothing happens.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? But you give each individual group's an ability to see how they can contribute to the overall whole. You know what I mean? And I think that's basically how you drive progress.
The only issue is that I guess I hate the fact I'm just talking about the problems.
No,
right?
no, it's calm,
But
it's calm.
It's kind of that one person or group of people. Let's just say one person, because you only have one president or one prime minister, right? Will belong to a particular ethnic
Tribe,
group,
yeah.
and other people won't trust him.
Yeah.
I'll be honest
of
with you.
course,
I don't trust certain people.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. But that's one of the things.
Yeah.
It's mad because it's like, you know what? Because obviously, like, and I think it's one of those things where like people have always talked about like why isn't the Caribbean like more united? But people just think that just because you like everybody's like living in close proximity, like the cultures are mad different, right? Even though y'all speak the same language, the culture's incredibly different. How you guys even speak is different depending on country to country, for example. So I hear that, but I think it's one of those where like nothing in the world happens without cooperation anyway, right? So you have to facilitate that locally, right? And on a grassroots level, and then have that kind of like percolate up. Because without that, nothing changes.
Yep.
Because for me personally, there should be a united federation of Caribbean states, right? Because that's basically where you're able to draw the most power. Like if you're able to go as a block and basically negotiate terms as a block. The African Union or whatever should be able to do stuff in a similar pattern. And I think they're starting to try. But the problem is you can't allow yourself to be dictated to. You have to go there with your own demands and actually build your own leverage effectively.
Why do you think the Caribbeans get away with? Is it because I can ask the question. I'll ask you a question. Answer it. I'm crazy.
No, I can speak on it too.
No, but I'm saying because it's stuff like that's come before. Like Americans get held to a different standard, and people over here always question that they don't know their heritage, and they want to be African American and not like African or whatever. You're trying to say like people over here in England, wherever they're from, always go back to their roots. If you're over here, you say Africa, the same Caribbean. I'm saying the Caribbeans ain't held to the same standard as the Americans because the Caribbeans were brought over there as well.
Yeah.
They're African too, innit?
Yeah.
But you even talking about the Caribbeans, you're talking about them as Caribbeans, if that makes sense, not as Africans.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how come you don't hold? How come we don't?
That's a fair question. I think it's probably because in the Caribbean you have like the development of black countries, right? So it's like a lot of people, obviously more than 1 million people, were sent over as slaves and they inhabited the modern day Caribbean islands, but over time have been able to develop black countries with their own black identities, right? Essentially. And I think that's my way of paying respect to the identity that was being created in that regard.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, I feel like there should be great ties between black people all across, Africa, Caribbean, the United States, everything else. And this idea that like somehow one place has more culture than the other simply just isn't true because we build culture. You know what I mean? Like African Americans were able to build a culture in the face of so much hardship in the same way Caribbeans were able to build cultures in so much hardship. I remember explaining to a white American guy that everybody thinks that like, yes, the plight of the African Americans in America was horrible because of slavery and things like that and everything that happened after that. But people don't understand the colonies that were built were basically slavery over there, right? Imperialism was slavery over there. You know what I mean? Like all of the colonies, be it like the Caribbean colonies, the African colonies, it was slavery, but over there, out of sight, out of mind of everybody else, right? So it didn't seem like that big of a deal. So we all have that kind of shared hardship, essentially. And because we've all got that shared hardship, right, we can all kind of coalesce as a people. But I think when I talk about like creating a federated state of Caribbean islands or whatever, it's just to kind of pay tribute, in my view, to the fact that like there was a culture was able to kind of emerge out of something that was incredibly painful, because and there isn't a holistic Caribbean view. Right? I mean, like Jamaicans will see things very differently to Trini people, but economically, there's going to be things that can be done to improve outcomes for people in those islands, right? In the same way that like the African American view is going to be very different because the things that they need are going to be very different, even though there's going to be so much diversity across like African American experiences now. But again, they're better shaped to kind of speak to what they need, right? In the same way that like, on the African continent, like there is so much progress, but there's so many people that are left behind. I mean, the devaluation of the naira basically means that, you know, you went from 15 years ago earning £24,000, you're now earning £6,000 because the naira is completely falling off a cliff, currency-wise. So the things that they will need economically are very different. And it's basically like, how do you, and then when I'm talking about these blocks, these are economic blocks that I'm talking about. These aren't cultural, these aren't anything. The cultural thing, we can definitely do it as a collective, because every single place where Black people exist has an opportunity to contribute to, like, you know, has an opportunity to contribute to, like, how people perceive Blackness, right? Because how Black people are perceived in America, slightly different to how Black people are perceived in the UK, but there's definitely similarities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Definitely similarities. Like, you walk around or whatever, people look at you like, ooh, if we all walked outside of here right now and just went for a walk, people are like, oh, that's not safe, right? And that's everywhere, right? But at the same time, but the why that's not safe might be a little bit different. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's just like my opportunity to kind of just say, like, Caribbean culture deserves to be, like, seen and celebrated. And economically, there are going to be things that are going to be unique to it. That'll be different to the things that economically, like, you know, West Africa needs versus East Africa versus Southern Africa versus North Africa versus Middle Africa.
Okay.
I want to ask you, because again, you mentioned about having like a holistic approach and to, I guess, the future of a particular state of the country, right? To bring about the best from that country, right? Which obviously ties back to Sankara anyway, right? Because he did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But before we get on to Sankara a bit more, right? Your father obviously was the first democratically elected president, right? But prior, the links that he had to the military, was he for military governance?
I think the thing is, the military government had been in existence since 1966.
Yes.
Right? So there was just no way that you could avoid military. So it wasn't a case of for, it was just that's what was there.
That was just the reality of it.
And, you know, my dad was part of an NPN political party, along with UPN. I don't remember what NPN stands for, before he set up the Social Democratic Party that he ran on in 1993. Right? So he was very much an advocate for a transition to civilian rule. Right? It was just obviously, you have to be slightly pragmatic in understanding that these are the people that you need to deal with. And, you know, I wrote my dissertation on this. Like, when you have, because my dissertation was about comparing the developmental record of Nigeria versus other Arab countries in the OPEC region, right? And the issue that you tend to have is, because of how powerful, like, the government is in driving economic activity, right? Without a relationship with government, like, there's nothing, because they're the ones who actually, like, are gatekeepers to economic resources, right? So, of course, if you're building businesses, you have businesses in, you know, telecommunications, banking, publishing, whatever, you have to engage with those gatekeepers, essentially. So it was more that, because obviously, like, he was very much an advocate for, you know, civilian rule, which is why he ended up running ultimately.
Yeah. And how would you, let's just say that everyone that's listening now, how would you want everyone to kind of remember your father and his legacy?
Oh, wow. Remember, I think for me, the key thing is just, like, his humility, his warmth, his generosity. My father, you know, he built mosques, churches, he sent so many people to university.
He built churches as well? Okay.
He sent so many people to university. He, you know, was somebody who actively tried to do all that he could to improve the lives of people. You know what I mean? And he did it in a way that wasn't like, I'm doing it so people can see me. Is that he was very selfless in everything that he was. He had a propense capacity for kindness. Just a great all-around dude, man, for sure.
There was another question that just came to my mind. Because, like I said before, he had those links to those former presidents as well, right? Because obviously they kind of grew up in that same melting pot. Did your family feel a sense of betrayal from those who were in power at the time?
I can speak for myself, and I can say that my father ran for president because he was given assurances that if he were to win, that he'd be allowed to take on.
Wow.
Right? So for me, I see it as a betrayal, but I can't speak to anybody else.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Well, are you going again?
No. What was you gonna say?
No, I thought you was.
No, I was just gonna basically link it to Sankara quickly, innit? And basically just
Yeah, for Sankara does deserve some time.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
It's Burkina Faso Day.
Yeah, shout out to Thomas Sankara, for real. I mean, the thing is, he was incredible. I think what people don't understand was what he was able to achieve in 4 years. He was only in power for 4 years.
4 years.
He empowered women. He increased the literacy rate. He removed excess spending and waste in government. He, imagine as an African political leader, man took a pay cut. Man was like, nah, I'm not doing that. We're only gonna wear uniforms that are made right with the cotton and the fabrics that are developed in Burkina Faso. And he outwardly spoke against and obviously a lot of the stuff that he's saying now really impacts a lot of the movement that we saw against for lack of a better term, French occupation of those francophone states in West Africa, right? People are beginning to realize actually, why is it that the French still have so much influence over these independent countries? And this is what Thomas Sankara was talking about up until he was assassinated in 1987.
Well, he was potentially a warmonger because he was telling the man. Who telling them not to repay their debts? That's
but the thing is, that's
serious. That's tough talk.
It is tough talk. But the thing is, that's the only thing that people understood though. It's money is it's all about money at the end of the day. If you want to get somebody's attention, just be like, yo, I'm not paying you. Imagine somebody owes you money, yeah, and you find out but you're cool with the person that works for them. That they work for, and you're like, yo, don't pay the guy until he pays me back. Obviously, man's gonna come and pay you back, right? So I think there's definitely that, and I think there's also a thing as well around he understood why money was so important because the French. I mean, it's now come out that the French central bank is the one that basically controls the circulation of money. A lot of these West African states use the franc. Right, the French have the first right of refusal on anything that comes out of Francophone Africa. So if you discover a new mineral that's worth $1 trillion to your economy, but the French nah, we want that, right? That's basically what it was. So a lot of the kind of a lot of these coups are born out of that effectively. You know what I mean? So it's just it's sad that we've never been able to have a leader like a Thomas Sankara, like a Patrice Lumumba, basically actually do what they're supposed to do, live long enough to actually implement policies that could be seen as a positive change.
Yeah, he was letting them know about just their identity.
Yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say, and letting them know that they can be more
100%.
and they can do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which is definitely dope. You get me? He's not relying on outside aid.
That's exactly
not thinking
right.
that we're poor people, we're rich agriculturally, we can do for ourselves. We can, you get me? That kind of attitude and energy is
it's
commendable.
It's always about giving people a platform to show that what they can do, right? Because when you're not getting a lot of aid externally, then people have to be all right, cool, what can we actually do? And they did loads. Just think about that. In 4 years to have a significant increase in the literacy rate, in 4 years have the engagement of women in the workforce, right? That is huge. I mean, people talk about feminism and stuff. If you want to see good cases of how feminist policies have been implemented, study Sankara.
100%. 100%.
That's it. Study Sankara. And I wish that people, and I wish he was more in the mainstream so people could better understand. And that's part of the reason why I chose to adopt his name. Musically.
I'm going to read off some of his accolades, so people actually know what he did. But I did want to quickly ask you this, considering this whole situation with, like you just mentioned, with Burkina Faso, the coups there, Mali, Niger, and even Tinubu, for example, in Nigeria, trying to get ECOWAS to basically make a move militarily against Niger. How do you feel about that? Because is this just more puppets, or is this how are we ever going to move forward?
I think the thing is, Tinubu obviously came into power in May, And literally, I think within a month or two of him coming into power, all that stuff started happening. So I think for him, there's a wanting to showcase that he is indeed the chairman of ECOWAS, and it's his responsibility to kind of keep the status quo going, right? It's very hard to kind of like create change. Like change just doesn't come for the sake of change. Like change has to be actively forced, you know? And hopefully when he gets a full understanding of the facts, and if the people who have then committed the coup are actively seen as being better for the country than the things that was there before it, then things will change. I mean, there's obviously this talk about like the wanting to create like a pipeline, a gas line pipeline from Nigeria through Niger all the way up to Morocco into Europe as a way to kind of counter, the Russian pipeline that the Russians have control of. So they can turn it on and turn it back off. And over the wintertime, they can turn it off, and the energy, the cost of heating your homes will be super expensive. And that can create a lot of like political instability in the UK, for example, that uses that. So I think, there's an economic imperative that Tinubu was also speaking to or thinking about when he kind of made that announcement. But ultimately, I think, you have to respect what people want, right? And so far, it seems that like what's happening in Niger is being very well received. And hopefully those people are able to execute on their good intentions, because they say the pathway to hell is littered with good intentions.
Telling you.
Know what I mean?
But I'm going to, like I said, read off some of the accolades of Thomas Sankara and the things he did in the nation, right? So people can understand the greatness, right? And basically, he vaccinated 2.5 million children against meningitis, against yellow fever, measles in a matter of weeks, right? He initiated a nationwide literacy campaign. So it increased, like Kashi said, the literacy rate from 13% in 1983 to 73% in 87. He planted over 10 million trees to prevent desertification, right? He built roads and a railway to tie the nation together without foreign aid. So you see how now the presidents are going to China and trying to do deals without foreign aid. He did this, right? He redistributed the land from feudal landlords, right? Nationalized it, gave it to people who didn't have anything, right? And in that time, wheat production rose in 3 years, like doubled, right? Because these people weren't making no use of the land. He also converted the army's provisioning store into a state-owned supermarket. It actually became the first supermarket in the country. He required public servants to wear traditional tunic, like you said. So the clothes was woven from actual Burkina cotton, right? Again, self-reliance. Again, speaking about the feminist movement, he appointed females to high governmental positions, right? He encouraged them to work, he recruited them into the military. He granted pregnancy leave during education, all that type of stuff. He outlawed trigger warning here, FGM, female genital mutilation. He outlawed forced marriages, underage marriages, all them type of things got rid of, right? He even had an all-woman motorcycle personal guard. He sold off the government fleet of Mercedes cars as well.
Made them drive around in Reynolds.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
It's just like,
exactly.
but you don't need them cars. Like,
Yeah, for real. Especially if the country's not doing great. Why are we stunting?
that's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? He reduced the salaries of all public servants, including his own. So this wasn't, it's different for you, it's different for me type of situation, right? Including his own, right? He got rid of the whole chauffeurs and first class
flights.
Yeah. If he was a minister, he was traveling the economy like everybody else.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? He forced civil servants to actually pay 1 month's salary toward public projects as well. As a president,
He was young, you know.
That's what I'm saying. I think he died at like 34 or something. Like
37.
37. Yeah, that's it.
Crazy.
That's cold.
And all of that in that time.
Yeah,
He's a great man still.
I'm telling you, man.
saying.
He lowered his salary to $450 a month.
Yep.
And he limited his possessions to just a car. He had 4 bikes. He had 3 guitars. He had a fridge. And they even say he had a broken freezer.
Yep.
That's all he had.
Do you think it's just people were just so oppressed, and obviously like the fronts were like taking control of it? They just so like just damn bad that they didn't have. They were just used to their situation and just stuck in it. Because I see him talking, saying that like, how is it possible that there's countries that like say that 4% of the countries are farmers and they can feed 200 million people, or whatever, and we're in a country with 90% of us are farmers, and we're not. And we, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's just like normal logic when you hear it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say? But how come no one didn't want to take the steps to to fix it?
It's because like it depends on how you do the farming. Obviously, you can have like industrial scale farming, right, which is another way to kind of boost your economy, which a lot of African countries don't typically do. Most people who are farmers, you do subsistence farming, so you farm you farm enough to kind of like feed yourself, feed your family, but that's not an efficient way to farm.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like stuff like that where like, and I think he understood that and he was trying to like embed that because ultimately, if you can kind of commercialize that, you can then start like exporting your surplus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that helps your trade balances, and that basically helps like drive your economy and stuff like that. So he and the crazy thing is like none of these ideas are new. We all know what these things are. You know what I mean? Like it's not even like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to be some like rocket scientist or whatever to kind of like like how am I gonna fix this? It's just like, yo, just be more efficient in how you basically do stuff.
Yeah.
And it's that creating that efficiency it's how you basically get, you know, your economy to prosper, people to thrive, and that's what uplifts people. You know, like I said, in Nigeria, the exchange rate now is like it's £1 to 1,000, almost 1,300 naira. Right now, it used to be like 1 to 250.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
So imagine your purchasing power has like gone down by a factor of like 4 or 5.
It's a joke.
You know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying. So it's like stuff like that like, you know, that can be done. And that's part of the reason why like Sankara just deserves to be like studied, emulated in a way.
100%.
You know?
Because again, a lot of the time you see people who take power via coup. To be fair to him, I guess he didn't do it. It was Blaze that did it because he was locked up.
Exactly, yeah.
But still, like, I don't know. Again, like, there's only positives that you can speak about when it comes to Sankara.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And again, just a few other things as well. Like I was saying, he didn't preach one thing and live something else. His kids went to public school. His wife had a job in the government. His father was retired, but his mum was still working. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to make money for the family because, again, he didn't see himself any different to anybody else. And right now, I'm pretty sure you can tell everybody about this as well. Like, when you go to Nigeria, you see the picture of the president everywhere you go.
Everywhere. You go into a bank, his picture's there. You go into, like, anything, his picture's there. Like, it's mad. It's actually the maddest thing. Yeah. And I think that kind of creates a sense of, like, yo, this person is more powerful than you. You're human, bro. Like, you're a human being. Like, and I think what a lot of African people forget is like politics is about service. You know what I mean? It's not about, but you know what it is, right? We're so big on titles, bro. You go somewhere. If you're an engineer, if you got an engineering degree, like people will call you engineer, blah 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 blah, because it's like, yo, it's the titles are so important to people. You know what I mean? Whereas, like obviously, just like a regular dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, I remember like there was a speech my dad gave once where he was talking about like, you know, because he was like, what was he talking? He was like, oh, I deserve to have my mandate recognized, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, and then somebody asked him, was like, do you feel like there's going to be a threat to your life? He was like, it probably will be a threat to my life because of what I represent. But look, I'm a very ordinary guy that people voted for. And that's the thing. And it's about service. And when you understand that politics is about service, that you think accordingly. But because these political positions are ways for you to get access to a lot of economic resources, because everything is centralized and then dispersed, then that becomes a hustle. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of money to be made if you're that way inclined.
Yeah, man. And I guess the last few things is that obviously you guys pretty much mentioned it already. Spoke out against imperialism. Spoke out about paying back foreign aid and then things there. And obviously that didn't sit well with the French, man.
That's why they took him out, man.
And this is why they took him out. And they used his best friend.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Blaise Compaoré.
Yeah,
that son of a, you know what I'm saying? It makes me sick that he was alive for so long.
That's what I'm saying. That's the same thing they did to Patrice Lumumba as well.
Yes, they did, yeah.
I mean, use your brethren.
It's sad, man. So yeah, for those who don't know, he was killed, when was it? The 19th, right? 19th of this month, 1987. You know what I'm saying? And was it the 16th? No, 15th. Yeah, I'll double check in a minute. But yeah, and yeah, that he was assassinated by them.
Was you surprised that the people never said nothing for so long? Like the people that actually was around that was benefiting from what he was doing didn't stand up for him and just because my man was in power for what, like 27 years or something like that?
Oh, afterwards, Blaise. Yeah.
And it's the youth. It's the youth that grew up and had to say, nah.
But this is what I'm
Enough of that.
saying, because it's like when you learn about your history, you're forced to do something about it. Because you're like, things were actually better, and that's what I'm saying. Is when it's only information. Like once you have the information, you can't go back to thinking like, "Wow, this is calm." Like it's impossible. Like, and I think what a lot of these like repressive people are really good at doing is they come into power, and anybody who says anything about them, they stomp them out completely. Right. So there's like a kind of like quiet hiatus, like you can't say nothing, and so everybody goes like, all right, cool, well, this is what it is, and then kind of just go and get on with their lives, because people not many people have the luxury of thinking about like what policies could be implemented to basically make the situation better. They're like, yo, I need to eat, I got kids to take care of, I got this, I got that, and they just kind of get on with it. So when you create space for people to learn, then obviously they then feel like they need to take action, and shout out to them for taking action.
100%. But yeah, man, I think we can wrap up the interview there.
Well, obviously, no, because we've got 2 questions that we always like to ask our guests.
Before that, Mark, if you don't mind,
Oh, go on then.
Kashi's a rapper, a serious guy.
Did you just say remember?
Yeah, that's not where we can get your stuff, though.
Before that, though, I wanted him to spit a 16 for us, man.
Oh, wow, is that where we're going?
Yeah, is this gonna be like on some acapella thing, or is it gonna be just like?
Ooh.
Oh, you want to beat?
I mean, I can go acapella. I prefer acapella actually.
Okay.
It's more poetic in that way.
Yeah,
Go on, man, let's go for it,
get
man.
acapella, man.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna do something like reflective of my environment. I've reconnected with lessons that I've retired with. Revitalized with connections I form require me to reassess the inventions that I'm surviving in. Or maybe it's reinvention that I'm inspiring. Reincarnate as a phoenix before I die within. You see prerequisite dreams string like a mandolin, but still I turn to a fiend so I can dial in. Can you imagine this? Look, I'm reimagining hope, believing through fear, but rhyme like I'm mimicking goats. Forget an imitation, know that I deliver the most. Now it's a vindication when I come and step on your throat, your peep game. A castle that is waiting in moats, isolated in a cold world, lacking in coats. It's a long road, a road I walked through alone, just alone with me and my phone. Kashi Sankara, much love. Thank you.
Okay. Where the horns at, man?
Brent's doing this. You don't see Brent was. That's dope. And let everybody know where they can find your music and stuff.
Yo, I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, on all platforms. Kashi Mawu, out now. Please check it out. Show some love. And yeah, more music on the way in 2024 by God's grace, man. For
That's
real.
dope. We got a dope community, so we're definitely going to check it out.
Appreciate you,
Definitely
man.
going to support the movement.
Appreciate
you
you.
get me?
Appreciate you.
So definitely let you know what they think of it as well.
Yeah, appreciate
Brazen
you.
bunch.
Appreciate you.
But again, finally, we've got 2 questions that we always ask all our guests. The first one would be, could you share something with us that nobody knows about you? It doesn't have to be deep. It could be something trivial, but just a secret.
I mean, the thing is, I'm a big, like, I fuck with Batman heavy. Like,
You're like a nerd, you're saying.
do you know what I mean? Like, so there is I'll say this. There is a DC Future EU first edition comic of Batman where Batman is black.
Okay.
And I copped that. And I'm really proud of it. And I've hit it.
How much you pay for it?
I'm not saying nothing. But I've hit it. And you can't find it. But hopefully when that appreciates in time, I mean, I'll be able to retire comfortable.
Okay.
Sick.
And the last question is, share one of your best life lessons, or give if you can give the listeners a piece of advice, like a life lesson, something they can take with them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the thing is, my first EP, the EP that the debut EP that I came out with, the whole point of it is about how to persevere in the face of self-doubt. And over the course of my life, irrespective of however many things I've accomplished or whatever, I've always felt like I wasn't good enough. And I've had to really work hard to get over that. And there's no such thing as you're not good enough. Just try. You know what I mean? And, that's all you can do effectively. So if there's anything that I can leave with anyone, it's just basically like, you're capable. Everything that you need to do anything is within yourself. Whatever is calling you, whatever you're being called to do, just pay attention to it. And if you pay attention to it, you'll be gifted the ability to basically like manifest that in any real way.
All right then, man. That's dope, man. Well, you've been a great guest, man.
Yes.
No, I appreciate y'all.
Definitely.
Honestly, thank you so much for having me, man. Like, it's just so mad because I watch you guys. Like, I've seen this like many times before. So to actually be here is crazy. So appreciate you, like, you know, literally like that pen game that you dropped.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Appreciate you, man.
Crazy. You know what I mean? Like literally, like I remember the first time I heard it, I was walking, I was like, Jesus Christ. And to be sat here having a conversation with you is incredible.
Don't, man,
Seeing you on
appreciate
TV as well, bro. Seeing you on these little clips as well, like, bro, like this is humbling for me, for real.
Thank you,
And
man.
thank you very much for like the questions you asked. Thank you for knowing who my pops is and being very thoughtful and gracious about that. Really appreciate you, man.
No
For
problem,
real.
man. Thank you for
Don't do
coming.
that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't thank you for that. He happened to know your pops because he knows history, Nigerian history. Not that he did research for this episode,
That's fair enough.
which is
man.
important.
That's
Yeah. No, that's not the same thing.
that's fair enough.
Brent's in villain mode today.
I would love to have you back on as a guest host,
Dude, I would-
because you are very well rounded.
Dude, I'm happy to do it. Like,
Any
genuine-
single time it is that you have the mornings off, my friend, please
Yeah, man.
pass
Like,
through.
I,
me know.
you know what I mean? Not to bait myself up, but man, I work from home Mondays and Fridays, so like I can.
Hey, we gonna find a way.
You know what I mean? So we can make
Good.
this work. But honestly,
Amazing.
guys, thank you so much for having me here, man. Much love to everybody watching this. And yeah, man, Kashi Sankara out now.
Appreciate you, man.
Jeez.
All right, let's get into more headlines then.
All right, cool. Let's cleanse the palate.
Oh, is it Motivational Mondays?
Yes,
I
it
said the wrong
is.
thing. Sorry.
That's okay. Oops. That's the one. That's the one.
You love these AIs.
Right. Okay.
Today, let's dive into the essence of confidence. What is it? How can we embody it more in our lives? Let's first understand what confidence is not. It's not about trying to dominate the room. It's not about raising our voices above everyone else's. Nor is it about belittling others or feeling superior. Having touched on what it's not, let's look at the origin of the word confidence. The term confidence has its roots in the Latin word confidere, which means to fully trust or rely on. Emphasis on fully, not just half-heartedly. Confidence in its truest sense is like faith. Imagine the unwavering trust we have in the continuous cycle of life, things we often take for granted. For instance, we don't pause every time we breathe, worrying about whether there's enough oxygen for everyone or if we'll get our fair share. Most of us just breathe, trusting that the process will sustain us. It's this inherent trust or confidence that we can extend to various facets of our lives, if we choose to. The same omnipresent force, call it nature, spirit, or any other term that resonates with you, that ensures we get our oxygen, also has our back in other aspects of life. You might be wondering, how do I practically apply this understanding? Here's a straightforward exercise. Whenever you're faced with uncertainty or challenges, ask yourself, if I genuinely believed that the universe was aligning in my favor, how would I act? What steps would I take? A variant of this question is, if I was certain that the current scenario was playing out for my own good, how would my response change? How would I react to this person, situation, or event? This line of questioning is especially important when things aren't going your way. Don't jump to conclusions or project a worst-case scenario that might affect the outcomes negatively. Engage with this practice regularly, and you'll soon observe a shift in your perspective. Life's events might seem to fall into place, instilling a deeper sense of confidence and trust in yourself and the universe's plan for you. Remember, even situations that don't turn out the way you want might turn out to be what you need. Have confidence in yourself and your ability to navigate situations to the best possible outcome. Today,
Is that? Can I just say something, please? E-man, for real, you was so aroused. Man scrapped 140 BPM. Man scrapped.
Can you imagine? Head gone.
Man scrapped
God.
140.
Head gone.
You know, not serious, you know.
Oh, you was livid, you know. He done a good job to turn it around. If he'd have had any substance, he would have been screwed.
Yeah, for real.
That was so funny.
No, but he was a great guest, man.
No, he
And
was dope still.
Yeah, man. And I'm glad, obviously, that his father was somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we had another great conversation. So, yeah, man. Yeah. Anyway, Rebecca's wrench, yeah, that's gone. So. That's gone.
He must have said no more guests from the community.
Impossible. Don't even ask anybody, please. Ben's not going to save none of you at all.
You know what? To be fair to her, she done well, man.
In doing. It was just luck. It was just luck that it worked out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God, that is funny.
But yeah, man, big up Kashi for real though, man. He's a great guest, man. 100%.
Cool. We're ready to get into more headlines.
Let's do it. All right, so our next headline, yeah. You know Rebecca Loos? Is it Loos or Lose?
I think it's Loos.
Man, it could be. Anyway, that one, yeah. She's accused David Beckham, yeah, of portraying himself as a victim and making her look like a liar.
Was that the one who stand up?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another. Yeah, it's Loos, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she's also accused Beckham. She's also accused Beckham of being self-pitying and potentially damaging her reputation. And she alleges that he accuses her, albeit indirectly, of making Victoria Beckham suffer. Loos, who's 47, was catapulted to fame in 2004 when she claimed that she had an affair with the former England captain and sold her story to the press. Claims of an affair have always been denied by the Beckhams, right? In the documentary series, however, Victoria describes the aftermath of the allegations as the hardest period of their marriage. David Beckham's demeanor during the new program is all poor me. This is what she's saying. And in an interview with the Mail on Sunday, I don't know why anyone's given her a platform, but she's come out and said that he can say whatever he likes, of course. And I understand he has an image to preserve, but he's portraying himself as the victim and he's making me look like a liar, like I've made up these stories. He's indirectly suggesting that I'm the one who has made Victoria suffer. She also accuses Beckham of putting her back in the spotlight when she had no wish to be. She went on to say that so many people have forgotten all about this. He's dragged it back up again in a way that is affecting my reputation. Luz was complimentary about Victoria Beckham, saying that she thought the Spice Girl came across well, very natural, very honest, very open, whatever. But she also added, I can't say the same for him. So after the documentary released, Rebecca Luz said that she went online and saw all the articles, adding that I sat on my sofa and just watched that one episode and was, well, shocked, is what she says. But now, anyway, she's happily married with 2 children. She teaches yoga and works as a medical assistant in Norway, and nobody gives a damn.
Shut up then. How's your husband
You know what I'm
feel
saying?
about you chatting
Just
shit,
chatting
man?
bollocks every day. Someone online?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, caller.
You're gonna be so upset, but it's me.
I don't know who me is.
I'm done.
Who's me?
Back to Becky.
It's Rebecca.
Okay, go on.
Oh my god.
Oh, Rebecca, man. Anyway, go. Speak to us, Rebecca.
No, you. This was not like a fluke or. I knew that his dad was assassinated, and I knew that his dad was the president. I just got the wrong one.
I can't believe
So
it
was gonna be. It was gonna be a good interview, but like my apologies, guys. I don't know. It's very much Mandela effect. I put 2 and 2 together and got 5. Sorry.
This doesn't do
No,
good
no, you're kissing your teeth.
This doesn't bode well for the feminists that you like to represent. You know.
Yeah, you know what it is. I think he done well. I think he done well, Rebecca, because he was a great guest. I think Iman's just pissed because he probably told his whole family to watch this.
My apologies. The thing is,
go on. Sorry, go on.
the thing is, Iman, you could have had a conversation about your polygyny because his dad had like 25 wives, so like you could have gotten into that.
Yeah,
There's
his
a
mind
lot
wasn't
more
in the right place,
conversation
to be
you could have
honest.
had.
Yeah, again, I could have done that, you know what I'm saying? But I don't feel like I always need to big up polygyny. I think it does it itself. You know what I'm saying? But
Oh,
yes,
no.
100%. But you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it worked out, innit? And Kashi was a great guest. And again, his pops made like a huge contribution to Nigeria anyway, you know what I'm saying? So it worked out, man. It worked out. You know what I'm saying? But you're still on probation though.
My apologies. And everyone has been going in on me in the comments. I've never seen.
You know you
like,
deserve it though, innit? You deserve more than Shayla.
Nah, I'm getting it worse than Shayla.
You deserve
Like,
it.
what would you guys prefer I was a catfish or would you guys prefer?
At least I know what I'm getting with a catfish.
My apologies. Okay, I'm done. No more. I'm not going to suggest any more people.
Mm-hmm.
You contributed to a great show, so
Yes.
good.
Yeah, for real. All right.
All right, you guys take care.
You too. All right. So our last headline, and this is about the former gangster turned actor Dave Courtney. So yeah, man, he's passed away at the age of 64. So he was found dead at his home in Plumstead on Sunday. A statement on his social media pages said that he had taken his own life, man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to his Facebook page, the 64-year-old has spent Saturday afternoon watching his favourite football team, Charlton. Pictures show him, enjoying a meal at the stadium with his friends when they beat Reading 4-0 and all that type of stuff. And then, the next day, you just find out now he's taking his life. Sad, man. For those who don't know, Dave Courtney was known for claiming to have links to Britain's notorious criminal Cray twins and also arranging security for Ronnie Cray's funeral. Although, when people looked into it, they found out that around that time, he would have been a child, innit? So, I don't know. But he's a known guy anyway. And apparently his exploits inspired Vinnie Jones's character in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, he was a big guy. He was a known guy. But rest in peace to him. And that's pretty much it for the headlines. Time to pay the bills.
What's it? Reaction now?
Yeah.
Is it time to react? Let's get into reaction, people. Welcome to the reaction, people. We'll get into some of our sports headlines. Excellent weekend of football just gone. Actually, let me just read out some of these results to you. So yesterday, Aston Villa was the only game that played. They beat West Ham 4-1. Well, they thrashed them 4-1. On Saturday, Liverpool beat Everton 2-0. There's a bit of controversy there. Konaté supposed to get a second yellow card, didn't get one. See that one of the people interviewing Klopp was asking, do you think Everton should get a replay? And he got upset by the question. Klopp's funny, but yeah, he's got away with one there. Because I think it should have been 10 down to 10 minutes, 0-0. Is that right, Brent?
I don't know.
I feel like that's right. If it's wrong, sorry. But yeah. Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Bournemouth 2-1. Brentford beat Burnley 3-0. Man City beat Brighton and Hove Albion 2-1. Newcastle absolutely thrashed Crystal Palace 4-0. Nottingham Forest drew 2-2 with Luton. They came back and snatched that draw just at the depth. That was a great result for them. Chelsea and Arsenal drew 2-2. Again, Trossard and Rice in the last, what would it have been, 15 minutes of the game, turned that around, snatched a point out of the jaws of defeat. Like, terrible performance from Arsenal. But I suppose you take some, I don't know, you happy about it or something, Brent?
It was a poor game, man. But I guess
a poor game in whole or poor performance in Arsenal?
poor performance with Arsenal.
Okay.
Chelsea played well. I think they played the best they've played this season.
Thanks. Well, and you probably played the worst you played.
Yeah, we did. Sorry, that we didn't lose. I guess it's a blessing. But I'm not happy with that at all. I see that as 2 points dropped.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then the last result is Manchester United beat Sheffield United 2-1. Kind of struggled with them a little bit, to be fair. I mean, probably overall the best team won, but I don't know. They sat back and it was like they was trying to counter them. I don't know. It was like Sheffield could actually play. It wasn't necessarily a good performance for me. The result shouldn't have ever been in that. Scott McTominay opened the scoring, then gave away a penalty. So we're going to the half 1-1, and I suppose with the kind of form United's in, anything was possible. You get me? But the low scored a screamer, put that game to bed. So I'm happy that we got the 3 points there. Yeah, that was our football. In avenues over the weekend, Sir Bobby Charlton, Manchester United and England legend, he died at the age 86. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'll read this headline out for you. I'm in the story. So Bobby Charlton, a Manchester United and England legend, has died at 86. Charlton is regarded as one of Manchester United's greatest ever players, scoring 249 goals in 758 appearances between 1956 and 1973. He won the European Cup with United in 1968, as well as 3 First Division titles. In 1966, the 1966 World Cup winner earned 106 caps for England, scoring 49 times, a goal-scoring record which he held from 1970 to 2015. It is with great sadness that we share the news that Sir Bobby Robson passed peacefully in the early hours of Saturday morning, a statement from his family read. He was surrounded by his family. His family would like to pass on their thanks to everyone who has contributed to his care and for the many people who have loved and supported him. We would request that the family's privacy be respected at this time. The next headline, great British fight on the weekend. Big up British boxing. Lawal versus Chamberlain, the British title clash. Will top the bill at the New York Hall. Fight night goes ahead. That's an old thing. We should say that Chamberlain won. You get me? So he is the new British cruiserweight champion. He beat Mikel Lawal on points. Went the full 12 rounds. I did say, because I was at the open workout, right? And they was doing their thing there. Lawal never turned up. You know what I'm trying to say? Lawal never turned up. It's not like Chamberlain didn't even really do much. I don't think he went on the pads. He was just there doing whatever, but he was there. You get me? So when I was talking to Sky, as interviewing me, giving my predictions, I'm saying, I'm not going to lie, Lawal never come. As far as I'm concerned, that's not a warrior's mentality. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, so there's trouble in there as far as I'm concerned. That is not a warrior's mentality. That's not a winner's mentality. Like, my man turned up and you're not here. What do you think you're above it? I don't know what he thought here, but that wasn't a good sign for me. So my prediction was Chamberlain was going to win. And lo and behold, I was right, man.
There you go.
I was right. I'm not going to lie, because Lawal's undefeated as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
the
not.
champion.
He's not necessarily the greatest boxer in the world, but he's very heavy-handed. He looks
Yeah.
strong, and at that weight, at that kind of boxing, you know that right hand could just change anything at any given time. He can go to sleep.
Yeah.
But he got outboxed from round 1 to round 12. He lost every single round comprehensively. Like, it was a walk in the park. If Chamberlain had more power, he probably could have put him to sleep. He didn't look like he could have put him to sleep. I was worried that he exerted a lot of energy because he was always moving and that, you know what I'm trying to say? So by the 5th, 6th round, my man never really done much, so he still had a lot of energy. He's still heavy-handed, trying to throw overhand rights. So I was worried that Chamberlain might get caught by something. And you get what I mean?
all of it being
And that mess it up. But apparently he's got a strong chin anyway. You get me? He's a fighter. He's very good, actually, to be fair. I like Chamberlain. You get me? Even though his 2 best performances come in losses, he's proved he needed to win this anyway. He needed to win this
100%.
fight. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, but he put on a show, outboxed him for 12 rounds, like I said, won every single round. It was just no competition, really and truly. You know what I'm trying to say?
When I went and looked at some of the previous fights, so again, like you said, he lost to Bingham Smith, right? Who beat Okoli for the championship, right? And I saw Lawal fight as well. I said, this is going to be one-sided.
Oh, you say you knew it?
Yeah, 100%. Because like you said, Lawal, his skill level is not there. He's got the power. That's why he's been knocking guys out. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's got the belt. Well, had the belt. But in terms of the skill, Chamberlain's levels above. Levels above. And as long as Chamberlain's focused, it was definitely going to be one-sided. Definitely. And yeah, it was.
Big up Chamberlain, man. Congratulations, man. Your new British title. I like to see him fight Vidal next, for real. Vidal's English cruiserweight champion.
He wants that fight, innit?
Yeah, Vidal wants it, yeah.
That'd be a serious fight because Vidal's he's a serious guy, man. Vidal's a serious guy.
Got a lot of potential in it.
100%. That'd be a serious fight.
I see them trying to say to Vidal to fight Lawal next.
He beats Lawal.
Yeah, but yeah.
But I guess it's kind of necessary. In fact, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's necessary, but it would be good to build up the fight with Chamberlain.
Yeah.
because then you can kind of compare who beats Lawal better.
Better. And then make
Yeah.
it a spectacle.
Yeah.
I hear you. Okay, cool. Next boxing headline is Qatar returns to form with unanimous decision win over Linares. Was this on the same card?
No, it was in, where was this? This was in Manchester, I believe. Up north, somewhere up north anyway. Yeah, it was decent fight, but again, it was one-sided because Linares is not the same guy. Like, he's coming off of 3 consecutive losses. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I think he's a free-weight world champion, Linares. But of course, he's on a decline. And Qatar is a great guy, man. People hold him in high esteem because they believe that he beat Josh Taylor. Everyone literally believes he beat Josh Taylor in their fight, and that he was robbed. And since then, we've not seen Qatar do anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to have him back anyway. And I think personally, it's good that he went 12 rounds. I feel like he showed Linares a lot of respect, to be honest with you. And I didn't really push for a knockout, but I feel like because he hurt him a couple of times, and if he was up against another younger, hungrier fighter that he had less respect for, I think he would have tried to get him out of there. But at the same time, because he's been away for a while, those 12 rounds I think was good for him anyway. So I'm not worried about his progress. But he needs a big fight, man. And I believe he's campaigning at 140. So he doesn't want to move up. Josh Taylor wants to move up. But I think Josh Taylor, he was sending digs on Twitter, talking about, basically saying, he said something like, when you don't finish off your Sunday roast or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, sending digs and stuff. But I feel like it will be good for them to have their fight, their rematch in it. It'll probably have to be at a catch weight because Josh Taylor struggles to do 140, to get to 140 now. But yeah, man, it'll be good to see Cairo back, man. He's in a good division. He's got Haney in there, got Prograis in there, got Teofimo in there. And to see some of them fights, especially if they're here in Britain as well, will be sick. So, yeah.
All right, well, that's down that. Our last headline reads, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc disqualified from United States Grand Prix after failed plank inspections. So Lewis Hamilton lost his second place finish at the United States Grand Prix after being disqualified when his Mercedes failed a physical floor and plank wear inspection after Sunday's race. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc was found guilty of the same offence and also disqualified from his sixth place finish. The skids on the bottom of each of their cars, which are designed to impose a minimum ground clearance for F1 cars, had worn away to the point that they were no longer within Formula 1 regulations. Hamilton's disqualification saw McLaren's Lando Norris promoted to second behind race winner Max Verstappen and the other Ferrari of Carlos Sainz onto the podium. In Mercedes' post-race press release, Hamilton said, "It is of course disappointing to be disqualified post-race, but that doesn't take away from the progress we made this weekend." And that is the end of our reaction and our sports headlines, and we'll get into our outro.
Oh, we got done out here, you know.
You ain't told me.
You ain't noticed Rebecca M needs to be in there? What are we talking about? All right, so I'm gonna do that out here today, All right, so I normally sit out this part of the show, as you guys know. But I think today's what's the right word? I don't know, but there's something in the air, and sometimes in life, when you're looking for stuff, you don't always find it, but something sits in your lap. And this is the case with today's Done Out Ere. There was none planned, but God didn't want us to miss out on that part of the show. And so we have our beloved former mod, Rebecca M. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, just wanted to say the research was crazy. And you know what the thing is, what makes it so crazy, is the fact that, like she said in the chat, I messaged her yesterday. I think I left her a voice note. I said, "Yo, Rebecca, I need to do my journal." I even said it. In fact, let me read it. I even said, "Yo, I need to do some journalistic due diligence. I need you to find." Can you imagine? I said, "I need you to find out what's going on there." Because from my research, I feel like I know the man. But again, a lot of the time you don't know everything about their personal life like that. But from my understanding, he only had a wife and 2 kids. right? Cool. Are you sure he's his son? Because I don't want to say something too crazy on the show, you know what I'm saying? And we come to find out that it's a Jon Snow situation. You know what I'm I didn't want to be disrespectful. So I said to her, yo, Rebecca, like, find this out for me. So that, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm doing here. And she's like, okay, cool. I'm going to speak to my brother because they're tight. I said, all right, beautiful. She goes back. She finds out, comes back to me and says, yes, he is his son. I said, you sure? Because I don't even want to mention this on the show, but so you can understand the effect of this. I said, Sankara outlawed polygamy. This is what people don't this is the gravitas of this situation. He outlawed it in Burkina Faso. So I'm thinking, is this one of those, he's one rule for them, one rule for me? Regarding the polygamy thing, right? Again, it's polygamy. Outlaw it. Polygyny, we need. You know what I'm saying? Is the thumbs coming?
Hold them both there. It's there. Got it.
There we go. So the polygamy, I'm fine with that. But still, let's make sure. It's like, yes, 100%, he is his son. And he had multiple wives. I was like, wow. I was like, wow. Okay, cool. Beautiful. I even asked my friend, you know what? Big up D. She's from the Kickback, yeah. Again, D, we're going to get D on the show soon, yeah. She's a historian, yeah? So I went to her, I said, yo, how many kids Sankara got? She said, as far as I'm aware, 2. I'm like, yes, that's what I thought too. Guess what? We
said you never believe.
This is what I'm saying. I said, I even said to her, tune in. I was even going to ask her, have you got any questions for Sankara's son? Can you imagine? Oh, Rebecca, you finished me, you know. And then, yeah, long story short, we got what we got today, right? But, yeah, again, big up Kashi Sankara, MKO's son, right? It was I feel like it was a great show, it was a great interview, innit? We learned a lot, I feel like. And, yeah, we make it work at TDA, you know what I'm saying? But Rebecca is definitely firmly in done out here today. You know what I'm saying? The 23rd of October. Let us never forget. Lest we forget. The 23rd of October.
Oh my goodness.
Done out here, Rebecca M.
Question. So in my head, he would have known that we wanted him on to talk about his father, right?
Brent, yes.
And in my head, the due diligence on their part, because they've known she's known him since she was a toddler. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She would have mentioned, he's a big fan of Sankara. I don't think that she would have said he's a big fan of your father. That misunderstanding couldn't have carried on for as long as they were communicating, because he missed the other week, innit?
Yes.
So I don't want to believe that he didn't know that he wanted to talk about Sankara.
This is what
I believe he was patiently waiting just to plug. He's fresh 16, which was good, by the way. I like it. I like the confidence a man has to basically say, oh, you want one from me? Here you go.
100%.
Right? I love it. But I do believe that, he wanted to sit next to this mogul. Endgame connoisseur.
Come on, man.
Extraordinaire.
I do believe that he wanted to be in the spot, this memorable spot, iconic spot. And it came across as much, right?
Do you think?
Yeah, I think it did. So I believe he knew what it is Emmanuel wanted. But he's like, I'll show you. I'll show you. But I love how right from the very jump, like, he got involved.
Yeah.
I love that he's a well-rounded man. I love the fact that he spun us that whole, hey, I know you love me, but by the way, I dip my toes. I'm a continental.
My milk of magnesia.
I'm a continental. I love it.
But he's debunking the theory that you can't be pro-black and...
This is it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
This is it. So he's doing a good thing, and he's using our platform to do that.
Can you imagine?
This is what I love today. This is what I love today. Many firsts. Many firsts.
Oh, it was a great show, man.
Yeah,
It was a
man.
great show, man.
I don't think Rebecca has to hold this. She can't.
Well, I didn't.
Rebecca's just going to be Rebecca. Do you understand? Emmanuel is that last stop before mass production. Do you understand? He's at last stop. He even told me, and without saying any names, I put a guest to him last week. And he's like, who is that? He's like, who is that? He said no. So I don't want to blame Rebecca. I don't think the majority of this falls on Rebecca. It can't.
I ain't gonna. I had to give him. His time to. It's time to shine the spotlight to get his shit off his chest. But obviously, I could make the done it as officials. I'm not comfortable giving Rebecca done it here.
Yeah.
Because I'm big on accountability.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And the buck stops with you.
100%.
I can't believe
You get me? I'm not prepared to give you done it here either though.
Aye.
Because Brent is horrible. No, I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to give you done it here today
Tell
because
me-
you've been thoroughly entertaining.
Tell me what you guys would have done different.
I know.
Imagine somebody's part of the community.
To be honest,
every
man,
day, mod.
you know far more about this man, and you have known about this man for longer than Rebecca's been alive. In my estimation, anyway. In my estimation, right? So, to be so excited for a couple of weeks, and for me to come and ask you, hey, are you sure that this is his son? I'm asking you this. I learned about Sankara when it is that you sent me the video. I'm like, this is a great man.
Yeah.
Remember in the WhatsApp group, I'm like, this guy's wavy.
Yep.
Right? So for you to not know this isn't the same dude that she's putting in front of me, just because he has a rap name that has Sankara at the end of it?
No, because of that though, Brent. Remember, this is effectively family. You know what I'm saying? Like, him and my brother are best friends type thing. You know what I'm saying? She even called up and said, I've known him since I was a kid. So all of this type of stuff. But again, I'm still thinking, like, what other way is there for me to find out? You know what I'm
Can I
saying?
be so totally honest with you? You're not mad at Rebecca. You're mad at yourself.
Yes. Oh, hey!
You're mad at yourself, man.
Because he knows he could have stopped it. He knows he could have found a way for this not to happen. And this is going to be a mark on his record for life now.
Sustained.
Oh,
You know what? Yeah.
oh.
The stench is going to carry you everywhere.
Yeah, you're deflected. Rebecca's not the patsy here, so.
I can't believe this. This is why the world is messed up, you know. This is why. You lot are pushing in the blame to the wrong person. I am here suffering, carrying the burden of the world right now.
That is funny. That is funny. I mean, you both could share the blame, but I'm officially not giving none of you done it here. But that was a funny segment, and you brought entertainment to the show. I believe we've got more likes than we've got viewers. So something got done right. Yeah. So like, I'm not prepared to. I'm not prepared to give any of you done it here. So we don't have any done it here today. But you lot, thank you for making a great show. So let's get into our actual. Thank you for everybody joining in. Thank you for everybody that took part in the conversation. The chat was fire as always. Thank you for everybody that liked the video because you lot took part today. That was dope. You get me? The likes are very much sufficient to my liking. That was great. Big up Esther. She had to leave early. It wasn't nothing to do with the whole debacle that was going on. We knew prior to him coming that she had to leave early, but we'll all be here tomorrow. Be a great show. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video, do all of those things. There's a number that you're supposed to call if you want to take part. Again, Esther's better at this than me. I don't know what it is. I can't be bothered. All I know is the show was great. It was a dope day. I'm going to be here tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you, lot, man. Make sure you put up, man. Shout out TDA to the world, man.
Like the video, share the video, man. You know
Don't stop flogging E-man all week. All week. Yeah. Hope you had the day you deserve, man. Peace out.
Peace.